Bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It is Wednesday, the 25th of September, 2024. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. This is news to 6 a.m. on News Power Digital. 65 notable nationals were conferred with national awards recognizing their outstanding service to Trinidad and Tobago in areas including culture and the arts, sport, public service, medicine. The national awards were held yesterday at President's House in Port of Spain. The nation's highest award, the Order of Trinidad and Tobago, was bestowed on 3 recipients this year. They are former National Gas Company President Mark Locorn, who had many years' experience in the energy sector, Professor Patrick Hussein, receiving the award for technology and engineering, and the 3rd recipient, noted attorney at law Russell Martino, senior counsel, who was absent from the event. Other awardees included 2 former commissioners of police, James Philbert and Stephen Williams, who received the Shakonia Medal, silver medal, composer and arranger Devon Stewart, who got the Hummingbird Medal, and banking executive Karen Darbasi, who was a Shakonia Gold recipient. Other recipients included Anna Naipol, chairman of Extra Foods, Dr. Christopher Laird, Shakonia Gold awardee, Diabetes Association President Dr. Andrew Danu, chairman of KC Confectionery Imran Khan, Pan Trinbago President Beverly Ramsey Moore, who received the Hummingbird Gold for Culture, Arts, and Community Development, BP Renegade Steel Orchestra leader Devon Stewart, author and researcher Nasser Khan, and Stephanie Lewis, who was unavoidably absent. November 29th is the new deadline for the payment of property tax from owners and occupiers of residential land in receipt of a notice of assessment from the Board of Inland Revenue without incurring any penalties. September 30th was the original date for the population to pay the property tax, however, government granted an extension. Minister of Finance Colin Imbers says he's cognizant there are still lingering issues concerning the receipt of notices of assessment by some owners and occupiers of residential land from the Board of Inland Revenue. As such, the time period for the Board of Inland Revenue to issue notices of assessment has now been extended to October 31st, 2024. The ministry assures the public it continues to actively pursue other forms of payment for property tax and will provide another update on the matter in due course. The public is also reminded, pursuant to Property Tax Amendment Act 2024, the rate of property tax was decreased from 3% to 2%. Government Senator Laura Lazama-Lee Singh says she's not capable of such horrendous acts and awaits her day in court after an interim protection order was granted against her. In a pre-action protocol letter issued to a social media blogger yesterday, Lazama-Lee Singh, through her attorneys, defended her character, and posts accompanied by negative comments were made about her on the social media page in relation to the protection order. Her attorney stated, quote, "Our client states categorically and emphatically that she's not capable of such a horrendous act. Moreover, this interim protection order dated 19th of September 2024 was made ex parte, and the client is awaiting her opportunity to be heard in court." Lazama-Lee Singh is being represented by Alicia Honamblam of Hove and Associates. When contacted yesterday, Lazama-Lee Singh's husband, Darren Lee Singh, offered no comment on the matter and the court document which was circulated on social media. In the order, with effect from September 19, that will continue until it's revoked, withdrawn, or dismissed, or a final order is made. Former acting commissioners of police James Philbert and Stephen Williams have hit back at Guy Griffith, who claimed their national awards were because of political favoritism. Trinidad and Tobago Police Service Social and Welfare Association also believes Griffith's comments were in poor taste. Griffith, who himself a past Commissioner of Police of the Trinidad and Tobago Service, had no congratulatory words for either Stephen Williams nor James Philbert, who yesterday received Shakonia Medal Silver for their contributions to national security and service. Instead, Griffith said, quote, "The political selection of national awards has now diluted their significance and made a mockery of these once prestigious positions," end quote. This did not sit well with the former acting commissioners, Philbert, but admitted it did put a damper on the day of his celebrations for himself and his family. Philbert said Griffith does not know anything about his 43 years in the TTPS. He also rubbished allegations of political connections. Stephen Williams also served as commissioner from 2012 to 2020. He too dismissed claims of political favoritism. The vehicle that struck the 6-year-old child on a beach in Clifton Hill in Point Fortin was a stolen vehicle. Police investigations have now revealed. Assistant Commissioner of Police in South and Southwestern, Wayne Meister, told the media on Monday, in addition to charges related to the incident on the beach, investigations are being conducted into the theft of the vehicle. Meister said the suspect, a 31-year-old man of Mendes Village in Sipari, has been interviewed by police investigators and remains in police custody as investigations continue. Sadly, on Saturday, 6-year-old Samir Singh was struck by a car which drove along the shoreline of a beach in Clifton Hill in Point Fortin. Little Samir was playing on the sand when the Nissan Latio struck him head-on. The suspect was detained by an off-duty officer who was at the beach at the time of the incident. International news: sirens rung across Tel Aviv and central Israel as Hezbollah fired a missile toward the Israeli city earlier on Wednesday. Hezbollah said the attack was directed at the headquarters of Israeli intelligence agency, the Mossad. Israel said it intercepted the attack with no reports of casualties, no injuries. It also said it was the first time a Hezbollah missile reached the Tel Aviv area. And that is news to 6 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming your way at 7 a.m. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
It is Wednesday. Good morning, good morning, good morning to the 25th day of September, 25. That means there's 91 days to Christmas, but who's checking? Good morning to you all. Thank you so much for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show on Power 102 Digital Fullcast. And you just heard from Dr. Paul Richards. We'll hear from Wendell Stephen, Richard Ragoobarsingh. We got Ruben and Shane in the mix. Of course, my name is Steve Khan. Quickly, it is 25 degrees at Piarco International Airport. Same in our beautiful sister isle of Tobago. The Met Office is saying today is going to be sunny conditions. That's the weather, will likely be interrupted by a few cloudy periods and showers. There's a 40 to 60%, which is medium chance of isolated heavy showers and or thunderstorm activity, mainly during the afternoon. All right. Traffic-wise, the usual spots: Couva to Sugargonas, and congestion from Charlieville to Port of Spain and through Trinidad City. Good morning to you, Paul.
Good morning, Steve. Good morning, Wendell. Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Paul. Morning, Steve. Morning, Richard. Morning, Trinidad and Tobago. And good morning, all our listeners all over the globe.
Good morning. You went cricket yesterday in that sun?
Of course, I went cricket yesterday in that sun.
And that's why we lost.
Yesterday was a special heat, boy. Whoa.
Yeah, that was a different heat. This whole weekend was a different heat. Yesterday was a different heat.
Yesterday I was soaking wet. You know, I don't know how people made out in that uncovered area, no? Lord. Because I was in a covered area and it was hot. Very hot.
Yeah. They didn't perform well.
Well, we didn't bowl well at all and fielded well. We dropping Johnson Charles in the first over of the day. I mean, Johnson Charles is like a super whooper, right? That's how I call him. He's a super whooper. And when he gets off, he can really hit that ball hard. And when you drop him on North in the first over, which is strange for Akil Hussain because he's a very good fielder to his own bowling, you know, and he dropped that catch. That was the beginning of the end. And then we dropped a couple others and, you know, they made 200 and plus, you know. Nothing that we can't get. But I think we also went out whooping and we did badly and we lost the match, you know. In front of a huge crowd too. Because it was a huge crowd down there yesterday, you know. Strange enough, I wore blue, you know. I just pick up a blue jersey and I wore that, you know. But so I was a blue amongst all the red. I mean, but I'm a TKR all the way. But I mean, I'm happy that St. Lucia Kings is the only other team that features Trinidadians. I don't even know if any of the other teams have Trinidadians in it, except for St.
Kitts have Joshua De Silva.
All right, St. Kitts Nevis has Evan Lewis too, yes. But St. Lucia has Trinidadians in it. Trinidadians that I know and I like, you know, Joshua Govaya and Carrie Pierre, you know. And I'm happy to see Govaya playing cricket. He's a young man, born and grew up in St. James, you know. I'm happy to see him reach that level of cricket, you know. But it was good cricket for people who wanted entertainment, I guess. But there was lots of entertainment on stage yesterday.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Lucia Kings.
So where do we stand now?
Well, we are still one of the 4 qualifiers.
Okay.
St. Lucia Kings, TKR, Barbados Royals, and Guyana Amazon. Those are the 4 teams that have qualified already. So it doesn't even really matter. It's just for placement, I guess, at the end of the day.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. So Barbados Royals, we'll play Barbados Royals on Friday coming. By then you'll get a fair idea of who topped the group, who ran second, who ran third, who ran fourth. You know, and that determines how many chances you have at making the final. You understand? Yeah.
Which is next weekend.
Yes.
Okay. Paul has no idea what we're talking about, huh?
That's all right. Well, he might have an idea of these people. So happy birthday to Dion Clark, former TTDF officer. William Villarreal. William Villarreal was former Coast Guard. Ravi Sukram, Richard Stewart, Pedro Baradas, lives out there on Mokorapa Road in St. James. Claudia Dell, Anne-Marie Young, they are all celebrating birthdays today. And yesterday was Khadija Clark's birthday. Happy belated birthday, Khadija Clark. Yesterday was also the birthday of my very good friend, Colin Charles, a quantity surveyor, lives out in St. James.
And you forgot your son on the weekend.
Which one?
When I turned 17.
My son?
Which is not you put up something I saw yesterday.
For my son?
Yeah, happy 17th birthday or something.
Me? No.
It was under your name.
Yeah.
Somebody hacked my account then.
I don't know.
I do have a son that is 17, and I do have a son born in September.
Okay.
I don't know.
Also on the weekend, my goddaughter got engaged. So, and she was supposed to fly in this weekend, but she had to postpone that. Her mom is not too well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right.
Paul, you're alive there, understanding cricket. We have to take Paul to a cricket game.
I understand. I just don't care.
We have to take him to a nice cricket game.
I've gone to games already. I've gone to 2 games already. I just don't. Somebody's allowed not to like a sport. That doesn't mean I don't appreciate the good work that players do, but just not interested.
Is it that you don't like it? Because there are people who don't like it.
I am not a fan.
Okay.
You like football?
So you never even go to because there are plenty of people in those corporate boxes who don't know nothing about cricket, you know. But they go for the lime and the conversation, and then maybe I'll take you. Maybe Friday coming, I'll take you to a corporate box, because
maybe I would go.
You'll meet all your people there. You'll meet Dr. Rowley. You'll meet Brian Lara.
My people.
What time is the game Friday?
The game is 7 o'clock on Friday.
I've gone to corporate boxes.
Take me, Wendell. Maybe you could take me. I want to go. It's Friday. I don't mind going on Friday.
It's just not my thing. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that.
Once I get it, I get invited. I don't.
Cool.
I don't.
Nothing wrong with that.
I sit patiently and wait for my invitation.
I went twice already.
I
went to the stands and I went to the corporate boxes, and I was just like, okay, time to go home in a half hour.
But there are people that sat up in them corporate boxes. They haven't watched a bowl yet.
I know. And I like to watch cricket. My dad had the Dos Santos stand tickets. And he had a wicked spot there that he just saw the whole entire field. I grew up going to that stand.
Maybe I have a psychological trauma from the game when I was very young. Yeah.
Maybe you got hit with a cork ball.
I did.
You did? Well, there you go.
I was a wicket keeper, and the ball hit me in the family jewels. And
You are a wicketkeeper. You too tall to be a wicketkeeper.
That's probably the
Wicketkeepers
problem.
aren't generally tall like you.
Yeah.
What the hell you doing going behind the wicket?
You didn't hear where the ball hit him.
Yes, I heard.
That's probably what. He's traumatized.
He's traumatized.
Poor Zena.
I have a fatigue for
I
you.
wasn't wearing protective
I
gear.
have a fatigue for you, but I can't get it on radio. I can't get it live on radio.
If you can,
As to why you went behind the wicket. But
you can.
what
You
the hell,
can.
tall man like you going behind the wicket?
That I had no say in it. They say you go and play wicketkeeper. Found the glove was too small. The ball was coming at quite a pace. So, what trouble is this? And then they had me dive when the ball go on his side. I said, no, you will not be diving. at all. You will not be diving on the ground. So I quickly switched to volleyball and basketball and table tennis.
That's more like it. That's more like it.
Yeah.
But cricket is fun to watch, especially since they brought this T20 cricket in Kerry Packer. Who's the man?
Can we move on?
The man who in jail now. What's his
Congratulations to all the awardees yesterday, National Awards.
Mr. Amjad Ali, good morning to you.
Fine.
I've been listening to the Paul Breakfast
Including
Show.
the three ORTT awardees, including Restaurant Martino SC, who was not there. Mark Loquan, who was very emotional upon receipt of the award.
That's the guy from NGC, right?
Yeah, I didn't realize he was actually wheelchair bound. No.
He is?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Apparently he's recovering from brain cancer surgery.
Oh.
So, I mean, it was very touching because normally the awardees go up to receive the awards, and Her Excellency the President and her husband went down, and then Dr. Roddy and his wife went down to greet him and congratulate him, and then the Chief Justice and his wife went down to greet him. So, and he was very emotional when he received it. I mean,
wow, I haven't seen any footage of it at all.
yeah. So, and of course, Beverly Ramsey Moore, Duvon Stewart, a lot of people. I mean, of course, there's nothing in Trinidad that happens without controversy. 2 former commissioners, Stephen Williams and James Filbert, both have received awards, and Police Assistant Commissioner Police Joanne James for National Security and Public Service. Of course, it's not without controversy, as one would expect. I'm not surprised at any of the imbroglio coming out of it.
Why is there controversy over that?
But they want to give it oxygen, Wendell.
Okay.
Take a wild guess.
My God. Oh, okay.
Take a wild guess.
Okay, all right. Okay. I zeroed in on it right away.
Property tax deadline is now November 20th. See how fast I move from that because I'm giving it the oxygen. Property tax and Rondell Fields, also got.
Yeah, morning, Rondell.
So congratulations to him. And Jackie Sampson, my friend, I'm so happy for her. It was literally exactly 2 hours of awards giving out. I don't know how the superstar had there for so long.
It was a long list this year.
Yeah, 65 people.
Yeah.
Yeah. 29th of November is the new deadline for property tax. And of course, the other big controversy over the weekend was Senator Laura Lazama-Lee Singh and the High Court order. But that she has now come out and denied through her attorneys. She said, quote, she's not capable of such horrendous acts and awaits her day in court after an interim protection order was granted against her, which was taken up by her husband, Darren Lee Singh.
How did that legal matter get? I don't know.
Because
once an order is filed, Steve, it's a public document.
It's a public document, yeah, but
what's a public document?
Well, it was. Once a protection order is filed, it's a public document. It's a high court. Unless the master or the judge seals it.
Okay.
You understand?
I just didn't like it. I didn't appreciate it. You know why?
I thought it was in poor taste to release something like that.
Very poor taste. Very poor taste.
When I saw it, I thought, and there are kids involved there.
Yeah.
Well, a very popular social media blogger who you both are quite familiar with, whom we all are familiar with, posted the page 1 of the order. And of course, there was a slew of adverse comments under, which Mrs. Lazama-Lee Singh, through her attorneys, is now I think they're in the process of, or may have issued a pre-action protocol saying that when someone posts something like that, they should expect, if they don't turn off their comments, it'll be an interesting case to prosecute. They should understand that because of the nature of the situation, there would be adverse comments impugning the character of one or more of the persons involved.
Correct.
And that there are 3 minor children who should also be considered in this situation, which I agree with.
Yes.
And they should be at the center of anything that happens with this. And their welfare should be paramount in anything that happens with this.
But you know, when things get bitter between people who at once profess love for one another, you know, everything is off the table, right?
Really?
You understand? That's what happens, unfortunately. You know what I mean? And I don't know if people know that a protection order is probably one of the easiest things you could go to and get. Go and get. Anybody could get a protection order against anybody. You understand? Mm-hmm. It's very easy to get. You understand? So when I saw it, I said, "Oh boy!" But an attorney whom I have respect for, said it's a hard thing to defend, because the first thing you have to prove is that it's not true. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And if that does not, then it's a hard one to defend. But you know, it just gets too nasty, especially for public officials. I mean, Laurel is a sitting government senator. You know what I mean? It just gets nasty, and it gets political. It gets all manner of things. And as I said, I know Laurel and Darren very well. And we were children, you know what I mean? And it's I know it's a difficult time for them, and I just wish it didn't happen to people like that, you know? That's all, because they are very, very nice. They're nice people, you know what I mean? They're not into any bacchanal and so on. And for their private domestic situation to come out in the public like this, I think it's very unfortunate. You know what I mean?
When you file a protection order by an attorney term, it becomes a public document. So there's a high probability that it will go public in that way.
Yeah, but it has to come out from someone inside of there.
Not necessarily.
Public can go on. I don't know that the public could go and request a copy of that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Maybe an attorney could tell us who may be listening.
I stand corrected on that. That a member of the public could go and ask for that.
And it ends up on the front page of the papers in a big banner yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Ban on senator with a picture of Mrs. Lazama-Lee Singh, or Senator Lazama-Lee Singh. Court blocks PNM's Lazama-Lee Singh on domestic violence case. So of course, they probably sold quite a few newspapers yesterday. Or something that is always going to be salacious.
Yeah, it was sensational. A ban, you know.
Well, the papers didn't lie. Wendell.
What do you mean?
The newspaper headline wasn't misleading.
It wasn't?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
It's just, as you said, relationships go through all sorts of ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
Marriages dissolve. And when there are high-profile people involved, it turns into something else in the public domain.
Yeah.
Because, well, then, of course, you know, there's the perception, the erroneous perception that people who are public people don't have private lives, and the private lives do arise sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
As I said before, they are 2 adults. They are the ones who walk down the aisle and made the vows. They're the ones who know what the intricacies of the situation. The main concern should be the welfare of those 3 children.
Yeah.
In all of this. Nothing else matters, in my opinion. Once they don't hurt each other. Well, might be too late for that, because now there's emotional and psychological hurt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a war there that, I mean, I've been through it, so I know what I'm talking about. You know, it's a war that never gets easier.
Well, and very often at the heart of this, I'm not saying that's the situation here. It's the issue of assets.
Mm-hmm.
And the splitting of assets. So,
That's what I'm telling you. It's a war that never gets easier, you know.
No.
We go down to a safety pin in the house sometimes.
As both you and Steve know, marriage is not only about love, it's a legal binding. Not so?
Yeah.
So it have to.
That's why I gave the advice.
Illegal.
I gave the advice to people. I gave it on this program already. I said, if you're not married, don't get married. But if you get married, don't get divorced. That's my advice. If you're not married, don't get married.
Easier said than done in both cases.
And if you get married, don't get divorced. That I can give that advice because I've been through two. You understand? And won't be heading for a third. Even though a lot of people think otherwise. It won't happen.
You're saying nothing.
Live your life. Be very happy with people. Like them a lot.
Good morning, Mr. Ragoobarsingh. Good timing.
Good morning, guys. So you're on point this morning.
I was looking for you to save me from this conversation. I agree with it.
Oh, what conversation?
Richard, I just gave advice on national radio that I've given before, and I don't know what you think about it, but I'm going to give it again. If you're not married, don't get married. If you are married, don't get divorced. Okay? I just gave that advice on national radio. Right?
So why you
Richard, a protection order, once it's filed, is it accurate as a public document unless sealed by the master or the judge?
Well, it's when you say public, what do you mean? It's part of a
the public can access it. It's in a court repository and available for access if somebody go looking.
If it's an order, I don't know how you would know the order exists.
If somebody tell you, well, I file an order, you can go and look for it in the court.
Well, theoretically, once it's an order of the court, it's public record. But
and that's my understanding. It's public record.
But unless, of course, the court has sealed it.
Unless the court has sealed it.
Yeah, that's what Paul said. But
that's what I said. So,
but
you had to go looking for it. You had to know what to look for.
Well, it's difficult for you to know. But
unless one of the parties tell you.
Yeah, it's difficult for you to know.
Or somebody in the court tell you.
Or somebody in the court.
Yeah. Because it's not something. The point I'm trying to make is not something you could just search for without having the information.
Exactly.
Easily.
Yeah. Well, when it's a high profile and acrimonious issue, it's very easy for people to particularly when high profile people are involved and people are trying to, and I'm not saying that's the case here, but theoretically, hypothetically, and people are trying to influence public opinion on a particular issue because both their reputations are at stake, you know, when it's a high profile situation, because they're both very public people, both of them in this case.
Yes.
So, we will see how it goes. We shall see how it goes. We shall see how it goes.
You see, the court sends an officer to serve it. Most times it's a police officer. You understand? And that's where those things come out into the public. You understand? Because if somebody is malicious enough, because they're going to serve it to the person, right? If they're malicious enough, they will take a picture of it with their phone.
Our TTPS never. Never. There's a video that I wanted to share. Speaking of police, quick segue.
Oh goodness, I only watched that video last night.
Is that a new situation?
You know, I only watched that video last night. I got it from several people.
I'm thinking that's an old situation. Yeah.
I have no clue what you're all talking about.
There's a video that shows some children. And that's the only reason I'm playing this one, because it shows the children's faces clearly. And the issue of showing children's faces is something that's very sensitive in media because the parents haven't granted permission. And the children, unless I blur it, the children's faces are very visible. But to describe what's happening in the video, there is a child playing a steel pan, practicing a steel pan. And another child, a younger child, next to seemingly the sibling playing the steel pan. and there's a car reversing into a yard. The children's backs are facing the gate that opens into the yard, and there's a car reversing into the yard. To me, pretty recklessly, right? Because the car was coming back, and the car kept coming back and coming back. But I'm saying, is this driver not seeing the children there? And there's an adult there off camera with the children, and the car keeps coming back and coming back, and the car comes so close that one of the child's children, the child playing the pan, I think it's a female, exclaims and moves out of the way. And the car continues with 2 children on the side to reverse straight onto the pan where the child is playing. Lo and behold, a female police officer, well, a female in a police t-shirt, not so, Wendell?
Yes.
Comes out, and the adult saying, you should have not moved, you should have stayed there, let me see what happened. And the person comes out of the car, the driver, and saying, you have to move, and is wearing a police emblazoned t-shirt.
Yeah,
and
it's a family thing, you know. You realize it's sisters.
It doesn't matter.
I know, but I'm just saying
it doesn't matter.
I know.
If that person is indeed a police officer, that is reckless.
Yeah.
Reckless, because there are 2 children and you're reversing like that.
And several children.
There's several children, and you are reversing, showing that you don't care because you have some family conflict.
Yeah, it clearly was a family conflict that went awry.
But there are children in the way where you are reversing.
Yeah. Because the elder sister was telling her, girl, I'm your police officer, I'm your elder sister, you know, and she kept remonstrating with her, you know, and she didn't care.
So you so vexed that you ain't care to have children who your actions, your management of this vehicle could be endangering, or they could injure them. You so vexed?
Yeah, boy.
Good morning,
she even did the typical police approach. Tried to grab the phone out of the other person. That typical.
I'm saying, you know, something wrong.
I haven't seen that video. I don't know.
I'll send it for you, Richard. Something wrong with these people. This psychometric testing they're doing on them. It missing, you know.
I tell you, as soon as they walk up, I had a conversation with a senior police officer, retired. He listens.
Lincoln, you're right. How is that not child endangerment?
So I know he listening now. I told him, I'll call him B for now. B, something goes wrong as soon as you leave that barracks.
Just remember, to some people, not everybody.
But I know it's not everybody. You know what I mean?
And as I saying, that psychometric testing is miss a few of them in there.
Nah, man.
I looked at this video straight and I said, but this person crazy. You're reversing a vehicle and you're seeing children there and you continue reversing it. And then you're bouncing to the National Instrument of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago?
Yeah. All because you are
because
upset.
you vexed.
You have a family upset. You have a family situation. You should be the more responsible.
The only reason I played the video this morning is because I didn't get a chance to blur the children's faces, and I would not broadcast the video without blurring the children's faces to protect their interests.
But a lot of people, I'm sure, know what the video we're talking about.
Yeah, but I wouldn't broadcast.
I have no idea.
I know, but a lot of people will probably be aware of it. Because I haven't shared it, but I got it from several people. You know?
Well, I haven't seen it at all. So that video is absolute news to me. So I haven't seen it at all. But that's
I just like that is the problem. When they remember to get a call off here to get a preceptory speaking about police.
Oh God. I have had enough police experience.
At the highest level of bacchanal.
Oh God.
And it's only because it's a really confidential situation I can't share it. But and it just told me, I said, this is why this service is in such a mess.
The service is a mess, huh?
I saw the commissioner looking very elegant last night. Dressed in black, looking resplendent.
Was it at the National Awards?
Mm-hmm. It's a very attractive woman, stunning. Heels and black dress, closely fitting form. Said, Madam Commissioner. And there were quite a number of absent senior government ministers last night. I didn't see the Minister of Finance. I didn't see the Attorney General. I didn't see the Minister of Public Utilities. And I know they weren't there because I was sitting there, I could see them all. I didn't see the Minister of Education. I know the Minister of Foreign and Caribbean Affairs is out of the country in New York, so he would not have been there. And I'm saying, okay. So much so that at one point, they were seating still the front two rows on the left and right side, right in front of the stage are for the awardees on one side, ministers and the diplomatic corps on the other side, and then the other seating starts. And they had to move up people to fill those seats 5 minutes before the thing started because they just were not. Am I?
But maybe they're not wrong because yesterday too, the Prime Minister sat in his box at the Oval alone for most of the time.
But maybe this is the last little chance to do what they have to do outside the country because after this is budget and after budget is steam.
Yeah.
There was a CPL match last night?
Yes. Yesterday, not last night.
10 a.m. yesterday morning.
Did I say last night? Yesterday, I meant. Because it's Saturday at 10.
That's with TKR?
TKR played St. Lucia Kings.
Did they win?
No, they lost badly.
Oh.
You know? But he was in the box alone for a long time.
Does that mean they're in or they're out?
No, they're in. They qualified already. They had already qualified.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, what's this match called? Is it Taruba?
Yeah, Taruba.
Yeah, can we open the phone lines?
We can do that. 222-8255. Toll free North Americans, 866-525-1099. That's the number. It's directly in touch. Make it short and sweet.
I'll make you all guess who two UNC members of parliament there last night. I can make you all guess who they were.
Anita Haynes and Russian Parry.
Russian Parry was one.
Russian Parry was one? Okay.
And did it from Valley?
Dr. Rai Ragbeer.
Ah.
Yeah.
Surprised?
Not really.
They were calling them. Let me not say that. It was a private.
Dissidents?
No.
Okay.
Y'all open the phone and save me from trouble now, please.
Hey.
Please.
We have real Baccarat people on the show, you know. I don't know if you know that. They like the Baccarat.
The conversations that we're privy to, you understand? The conversations we're privy to, something that sometimes we can't share because it was a private conversation.
Yeah.
Never read that moment. 222 talk. Wendell, the poll is yours this morning, so figure yourself out.
Oh, okay. Oh, Lord.
Short poll this morning, folks. Wendell's doing the short poll this morning.
Yeah, the hard work you give me today now.
A hard work of a short poll.
Well, should private situations
no,
private
domestic you're trying hard with that one. Let's not go down that road now.
Okay.
All right, think about it. Let's grab a call. Good morning.
I know.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Good morning.
Quick question. The property tax, right? Was it said that the proceeds of the property tax supposed to go to the regional corporations to assist in roads and all that? Was that true?
Yes.
Right. So the money that is collected now from all these people that line up in this fiscal year, where does that money go? Is it going to be counted as revenue generated for 2024?
Well, that's what we'll have to wait and find that out when they present the budget. We did raise this in our caller.
No, I was not aware of that, so that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, but it's valid questions that we raised also.
Agriculture, I agree. If I were the commissioner of that office, it wouldn't have a job to me. In that video.
So that's where we'll poll that video.
Yeah. Good morning.
Morning, gentlemen. How are you all doing today? How was the holiday for you all? Good?
Fine, thank you.
Good. Rob here.
Man.
You all see they give the extension to the property tax thing, and then all of a sudden all the lines gone down. No more lines again.
We predicted that too.
That was the intention, though. One of the intentions.
No, that it's not even the intention. It's the same mentality. Nobody will go now, and they will have all the chance to pay, and they go wait till the last week before November there, and then all the lines will start to get long again.
Yep.
And then they go blame it all on everything all over again. In anything, we have to set a standard and stick to it, whether it's good, it's bad, or it's indifferent, because it's personalities and people we're dealing with. Because if you keep moving the bar every single time, we will have no framework. We will have nothing. Anyway,
the only difference is that by then they may have other payment options.
Well, yeah, by then they would have other payment options, but it's the same thing I was saying on the last call we had. For those who don't have the letter, who didn't get assessed, those are the people who are to the rule. Any business have exceptions to the rule, but you can't carte blanche change it for everybody, because the man who legitimately get their letter had time to pay, had the ability to pay and go down. He get now a free pass to Lacare for next 2 months. And they need according to the government, they need the funds to do the infrastructure work in all the corporations and all the communities. Now they're not going to get the funds coming in. So it is what it is. As I say, Trinidad is a special country. They go keep moving the goalposts right through. The citizens go get accustomed because they go say, nah man, here they go move that date anyway. So why go in and rush to pay? And also, we ain't carrying no penalties because it's an election year. Because that's the next thing you have to think about. It's an election year. So if Kamala come in, them ain't going. Well, no, I'm gonna say Kamala. If the UNC get in, them going to scam.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So I can't pay my money now.
All right. Thanks, Paul.
That's okay.
All righty. Good morning.
Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Morning. I wonder if the people who were wishing that Mia Motley 3 years ago should be their PM, I'm wondering if they still want her to be their PM, because she came out clear and said it. She wants your money once you break the law, right? So all who driving around with their dark tints, they will be charged. But in Trinidad, the police wicked, and why they ain't gonna look for bandit and that, and you breaking the law and you vex when the police or the licensing officers do their job. Mayor Motley, I say, well done. And I hope our government and our TTPS and licensing officers follow suit. You driving with dark tint, which is not the legal tint, you will be charged, right? And to that police officer, Lord Jesus, I hope I don't ever meet her on the road. What kind of madness? Like Wassa putting something in these officers' water where they live in, other than chlorine? What the hell going on?
All right.
This woman is so aggressive, and you putting children in danger, and you getting on. And like they even say, oh gosh, look, they have you on camera, and you wouldn't even tone down. Good Lord, man. And Lincoln, I see you get us somebody supporting you. A woman saying she not paying the property tax. Well, boy, I wish all the best. I haven't got my letter, but when I get it, I am going to pay. Because if I was living in the United States, I wouldn't murmur. The U.S. Embassy taking all your 1,003 and getting a visa and all you're saying, boo. Right? So leave people and don't call people stupid because they're paying their tax. Give me a break, Lord. Y'all have a blessed day.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
I pay mine before the lines got ridiculous.
Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Hi, Samson. How are you?
Officer would be if anything would happen to her with her job, if they would take her off, give her some time off or something. And concerning the property tax, I find they should not have get any extension because exactly what happened, I know what have happened. And people know where if you don't get your letter, you go in offices and get the letter and go in. It's no biggie, but no,
it is a biggie. That is not what the ministry has advised at all.
Yeah, they
Nobody
didn't say to come in and get a letter. Yeah, they didn't advise you to come in and get your letter. They advised if you didn't get your letter, you're not obligated to go and pay. That's the advice they gave.
Yeah, they said that's the legal advice they got.
Yeah, you're going to have a whole pile of people going in them places now looking for letter. Yeah. Wait for your letter.
Thank you. Ragoobarsingh,
Unless
you have
well, that's the question I ask all the time. What it is in the barracks, what it is as soon as they leave that barracks, that most of them, not all, most of them get this attitude. I remember a young man, he used to be in the church, very decent, quiet young man. I saw him in the church all the time, and he joined the police service whilst attending the church, and he changed almost overnight. Overnight. You understand?
Yeah, I'm watching a video that you sent me regarding a police officer and the children that were playing pan. Is looks like a preschool, but I've got a couple of the audio, so I don't know what's being said.
I'm hoping that video has come to the attention of the commissioner and the police complaints authority.
I'm sure it has,
because that is just ridiculous behavior.
The bigger sister, who I guess,
what is she telling the kids? In a nutshell,
she wasn't talking to the children.
She wasn't talking to the children. She was talking to whoever the other adult is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Richard, do you have papers?
I tell you, I don't know what is going on in the barracks. Don't know. Yes. Yeah, let's get in the headlines, gentlemen, and give the results of our morning poll, and then come up with a poll. Wendell has sent one already.
You're sure Steve will be hearing?
I don't think he hears all the time.
I don't think he hears all the time at all.
No.
It's either that or he just ignore everybody and.
I'm watching it. Go ahead.
He doesn't hear all the time because I've been in that studio when people are talking. He doesn't hear all the time.
All right, so let me get into the newspapers. Of course, today is Wednesday, the 25th of September, 2024. Just in case you didn't know, the front page of the Daily Express this morning. ORT awardee overcome with emotion on receiving national award. Lo Kwan in tears. Other recipients happy and humbled. So recipient of the Order of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, former NGC President Mark Lo Kwan cries as the medal is placed on him by President Christine Kangaloo at President's House in St. Anne's. That's the main picture. On the back page of the Daily Express, of course, the news continues. Disharmony at Harmony Hall. Residents complain of problems with HDC. That's the main story. Farley not happy with Tobago policing as you open the page, and of course, the breaking news: Open Bible churches want return to God's standards because God has
sarcasm in his face.
Because God has communicated that the standards are not being met. And the Daily Express Sport, Kings rule supreme as injury hit TKR.
If I like your line, I'm going to tell you.
They're lacking.
His name should have been on that list, though.
So that's it for the front and the back of the Daily Express. Newsday today, front page. Faster response needed. Ex-acting COP James Philbert on crime detection. Faster response needed.
James Philbert?
Didn't see a slowed Wendell. Chaguanas landscaper shot in head. That's a story on the front page of the Newsday. And Senator demands apology from local blogger. I don't know what that is about. Do you all know what that is about?
Richard, please.
Oh, is anyone local blogger that's
Richard, please. Richard, please.
I don't know what that's about.
No, and he's saying it with a straight face. Richard, please.
He's an actor, you know. So there was another picture of Mark Lo Kwan being emotional, receiving the Order of Trinidad and Tobago, Order of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And on the back page of the Newsday, Pollard, we have work to do. TKR strive to regain rhythm after having lost the Kings. And SSFL leaders Fatima welcome San Juan. And the Guardian for today, front page. I am not capable of such acts. Government senator defends her name after husband files protection order against her. What is this story about? Which government senator? And relatives pay tribute to drowning victim and licks for Gary from national awardees. Licks for Gary from national awardees.
Gary?
I'm just reading what I'm seeing. But everybody went with that Mark Lukwan picture. Oh, good. Me there, or they can't get inventive. Everybody went with virtually the same picture. Well, let's share the picture.
Apparently.
It's a copy and paste.
Remember there was a bacchanal as to which media house should be attending those things. They didn't. I remember a year they had kept out some of the media houses, and everybody had to share from whatever the national media house had. Remember that year?
Maybe it's that. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure it's still in place.
So anyway, Charles and Duplessis, is that how you pronounce that name?
Duplessis. Yeah, Duplessis.
Yeah, Charles and Duplessis wreck TKR bowling, and there's a picture of Fatima College. Luke Correa clashes with St. Augustine secondary goalkeeper Tyrese Henry during an SSFL Premiership match at Fatima Grounds, New Carapo, Port of Spain on Monday. And that's it for our 3 dailies this morning. The only thing you need to know is that theater is on this weekend at Queen's Hall and at CLR. Queen's Hall, that's extravagant news.
Is that the Winifred Atwell Auditorium? Is it on at that auditorium?
At that auditorium, it's a brand new play that premieres at Queen's Hall on Saturday at 8:30 and Sunday at 6:30. That's extravagant news. And of course, tickets are available 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily at Queen's Hall. And in CLR James in Cipriani College, you have Ridiculous 6.5, which is on Sunday at 6:30 p.m.
Also, Elton John congratulated Trinidad and Tobago on renaming that auditorium.
Yes. He learned a lot from her. Let me also express condolences to the family of former Mayor of Port of Spain, Ethelbert Telly-Paul, who passed away yesterday. I think he was either 94 or 95. He served as mayor of City of Port of Spain. So condolences to his family and, of course, to the City of Port of Spain. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. All right. Well, let's get into the results of our morning poll, where we asked you on Monday morning, do you expect more TTPS video footage when the new tranche of body cameras arrive in Sweet T&T? The results are in. 63 said no. All right. 63% said no. All right, let's get into this morning's poll.
All right. And it's concerning that video that I'm sure a lot of you all would have seen. We can't show it because it involves children, but you get the sense of it based on our description. Should the female officer who reversed a vehicle close to children in a viral video be disciplined? That's our poll today. Who is trying to call me while I'm on air?
All right.
Somebody
so 222-8255. Toll free for North Americans, 866-525-1099. On WhatsApp at 318-1021. Facebook, YouTube, usual stuff. Should the female officer who reversed a vehicle close to children in a viral video be disciplined? All right. Votes coming in already, so let's get into it. Boy Bedesi says yes. Josie Richardson, yes. Wayne Bennett says yes. Let's see. Good morning, Vincent in the UK and Anthony in Toronto. Dan Raj, Jaron, GNC Auto Security, Sankofa, good morning. Let's see. Beauty Culture, yes. Rich Aries, yes.
I was getting to some of them, honestly. You're so vexed.
Yeah. Hell yes. Go ahead, Paul.
And roll right up on the pan, eh?
How expensive a pan is?
No, but it's...
I don't know what is going through. I don't know what is going on in our barracks.
It's not the barracks, Steve. It's the screening of them. Some of them shouldn't even get into the barracks.
Point taken, and I totally agree with you. I don't know. Right. Lincoln said here, Wayne Joseph in Ontario, Canada says yes.
You think 6 months of training could undo that mentality if we're there from the start?
True.
No.
Point. Julia S. Batiste, yes. Richard P. Knight, yes. Anthony Tinto in Brampton, Ontario, yes. Richard Duku, yes. Cheryl, we just want yes or no. Lester Craigwell, yes. Beauty Culture, I agree, Paul. Ray Garcia, yes. Cheryl Henry, yes. Miss Sampson, yes. Oops. Thank you, Miss Sampson. Vincent in the UK, Birmingham, yes to the poll. Let's see. Slick Money Grip, yes. Roger T, yes. Gerald Polliner, yes. All right. Should the female officer who reversed the vehicle close to children in a viral video be disciplined? Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida. Watch out for Helene. It's coming your way. Well, just north of you guys. Says yes. CPT Singh says no. David Wares and Mrs. Wares, yes. Trinidad Margot, yes. Andre, yes. Ursula, yes. Rita Booty Jennings, yes. Susie B, yes. Carol Guevara says yes. Cascade St. Anne says yes. All right, you have 3 minutes to vote. Should the female officer who reversed the vehicle close to children in a viral video be disciplined? Yes or no? Call us 222-8255. WhatsApp 3181021. North Americans toll free 866-525-1099. Beefy Smith out in Goodwood, Tobago says yes.
You know what I do understand about some of these videos that involve police officers? That they just don't know how to take it down. They are incapable of taking it down. You understand?
Yeah.
It just continues to escalate. I don't know what it is they have with somebody filming them, that they get so very angry. And it's both male and female. It's happening a lot with female officers now.
Yeah, the camouflage issue.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Kenny in Harlem says yes. Thomas Diaz, yes. Tone Luke says hell yes.
Crazy, yes.
Christine from St. James. Morning, Christine. Yes. Anne-Marie says yes. Should the female officer who reversed the vehicle close to children in a viral video be disciplined?
So 222-TALK, 222-8255, North Americans 866-525-1099. Send your votes via the streaming platforms, messaging portals, and of course you can also WhatsApp us at 318-1021.
Did they indicate where in the country that video was? Where it happened?
I don't know. Alistair Hart says yes. Emmanuel in Fort Lauderdale says yes.
What is exclamation training?
It's what she's saying. Me don't care. They can say what they want. You know the type?
Yeah. It's a pity.
You don't care. What happened? They can say what they want.
I think a lot of the times, I think when they're coming back to your issue of how that boy changed, I think a lot of the time, culture is determined by the leadership that you meet and the people who have been there before. Yeah. And that culture dictates what's acceptable in terms of your behavior or not.
Good morning.
Good morning, Joe.
Morning.
I would say yes. I'm coming from the point of view of having served for 28 years in the organization.
28.
Yeah, before, yeah, and I retired early because I was seeing a lot of stuff like that. And I was just getting fed up, especially from a supervisory position. And Senator, the next time the lady appears before the Joint Select Committee, you may want to ask her about that. And I'm going to say this, it may sound misogynistic, but because it's a woman, I'm telling you, it will be handled a different way rather than if it was a man. I make no bones about saying that. But what I'm seeing there, and I'm on chat and other police chats and so on, and a lot of them are trying to justify the behavior and talking about your mental health and stress and so on. But for me, as a former officer, I have identified key officers there. Abuse of authority, key offenses, abuse of authority, exposing children to harm, and bringing the civic into disrepute. And all these are disciplinary offenses which before a tribunal it could be dismissed or severe reprimand. And I want to let's do this one. Remember the case of the police officer Clinton Obi, who had the brouhaha with Prime Minister Manning in the residence going into La Fantasy Road. He has been the only police officer who was dismissed by a tribunal in the last 15 years. And think about all the reports that come about police officers' errant behavior. That is the only police constable who was dismissed. And that is when Mr. James Philbert was the acting commissioner of police. I leave that there to
You're absolutely right.
The one in the police service is there for life.
And I remember that incident. As a matter of fact, I know the young man. I see him in St. James all the time. He's from up
so I know, like, people just put on a police t-shirt and pretend to be a police officer.
Yeah. I know him.
Right.
I felt sorry for him at the time, though, but you're right. He's the only officer that has ever been dismissed.
Yeah. All right, let's get into our 7 o'clock major news. Evie is in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
National awards conferred on 65 nationals. Criminal Bar Association defends the selection of senior counsel Russell Martino as a recipient for this country's highest national award. Former acting commissioners of police hit back at Gary Griffith, who claims their national awards were because of political favoritism. November 29th is the new deadline date for the payment of the property tax, and Government Senator Laurel Lazama-Lee Singh defends herself after an interim protection order was granted against her. Details in a moment. This is News 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sentel-Bab. Good morning. 65 nationals were conferred with national awards recognizing their outstanding service to Trinidad and Tobago in areas such as culture and the arts, sport, public service, and medicine at the national awards held at President's House in Port of Spain on Sunday. The nation's highest award, the Order of Trinidad and Tobago, was bestowed on 3 recipients this year. They are former National Gas Company President Mark Loquan, who has many years of experience in the energy sector and served as an energy executive in Europe, Africa, the United States of America, and the Caribbean. Professor Patrick Hosine received the ORTT for Technology and Engineering. The 3rd ORTT recipient, Russell Martino, SC, was absent at the event. Other awardees included 2 former commissioners of police, James Filbert and Stephen Williams, who received the Shakonia Medal silver medals. Composer and arranger Devon Stewart got the Hummingbird Medal, and banking executive Karen Darbacy, who was a Shakonia Gold recipient. The Criminal Bar Association is defending the selection of senior counsel Russell Martino as a recipient for this country's highest national award, the Order of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. It made the position clear as CBA called on the opposition leader, Kamla Persad-Bissessa, to apologize to Mr. Martino. CBA President Israel Khan described Martino as a worthy recipient and an exemplar to the legal profession, especially the young attorneys in the entire country. It says Martino's recognition was based on his merit, ability, and integrity, and his stellar contribution to the development of the law in Trinidad and Tobago, referring to him as a scholar and a gentleman. Mr. Khan took issue with the leader of the opposition for what he claimed was her unnecessary scathing attack 2 years ago on his impeccable integrity when she referred to him as a quote-unquote eat-of-food CPAP lawyer for supporting the present AG in a no-case submission filed against him by the Law Association. Former Acting Commissioner of Police James Philbert and Stephen Williams have hit back at Gary Griffith, who claimed their national awards were because of political favoritism. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service Social and Welfare Association also believes Griffith's comments were in poor taste. Gary Griffith, who is himself a past Commissioner of Police of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, had no congratulatory words for either Stephen Williams or James Philbert, who yesterday received the Shakonia Medal Silver for their contributions to national security. Instead, Griffith said the political skeleton of national awards has now diluted their significance and made a mockery of these once prestigious positions. But this did not sit well with former Acting Commissioner James Philbert. Initially reluctant to respond to Griffith, Philbert admitted the allegations put a damper on a day of celebration for him and his family. Philbert said Griffith does not know anything about his 43 years in the TTPS and also rubbished allegations of political connections. Stephen Williams, who served as Acting Commissioner of Police from 2012 to 2020, also dismissed claims of political favoritism. November 29th is the new deadline date for payment of the property tax from owners and occupiers of residential land in receipt of a notice of assessment from the Board of Inland Revenue without incurring any penalties. September 30th was the original date for the population to pay the tax. However, the government granted an extension. Minister of Finance Colm Imber says he is cognizant there are still lingering issues concerning the receipt of notices of assessment by some owners and occupiers of residential land for the Board of Inland Revenue. As such, the time period for the Board of Inland Revenue to issue notices of assessment has also been extended to October 31st, 2024. The ministry assures the public that it continues to actively pursue other forms of payment for property tax and will provide another date on this matter in due course. The public is also reminded that pursuant to Property Tax Amendment Act 2024, the rate of property tax was decreased from 3% to 2%. Government Senator Laurel Lazama-Lee Singh has categorically denied being capable of the horrendous act she's being accused of after an interim protection order was granted against her. She says she's awaiting her day in court. In a pre-action protocol letter to a social media blogger yesterday, Lazama-Lee Singh, through her attorneys, defended her character after posts accompanied by negative comments were made about her on social media in relation to the protection order. In a letter, her attorneys stated that the interim protection order dated the 19th day of September 2024 was made ex parte and their client is awaiting an opportunity to be heard by the said court. Lazama-Lee Singh is being represented by Alicia Punambalam and Hove and Associates. When contacted yesterday, Lazama-Lee Singh's husband, Darren Lee Singh, offered no comment on the matter on the court document which was circulating on social media. It said the order is with effect from September 19th and will continue until it is revoked, withdrawn, dismissed, or a final order is made. Lazama-Lee Singh, who is also the People's National Movement's education officer, did not appear in the matter, nor was she represented by an attorney. Darren Lee Singh is currently the acting chief executive officer at the Trinidad and Tobago Coalition of Services Industries and a former TTPBA or Trinidad and Tobago Publishers and Broadcasters Association president. He's also the son of former Port of Spain Mayor Louis Lee Singh. You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital till 7 o'clock. The vehicle that struck the 6-year-old child on a beach in Clifton Hill is a stolen vehicle, police investigators have revealed. Assistant Commissioner of Police of the South and Southwestern Police Divisions, Wayne Meister, told the media on Monday that in addition to charges related to the incident on the beach, investigations are being conducted into the theft of the vehicle. Meister said the suspect, a 31-year-old man of Mendez Village in Saparia, has been interviewed by police investigators and remains in police custody as investigations continue into the case. On Saturday evening, 6-year-old Samir Singh was struck by a car that drove along the shoreline of a beach in Clifton Hill in Point Fortin. Little Samir was playing on the sand when a Nissan Latio struck him head-on. The suspect was detained by an off-duty police officer who was on the beach. Well, finally, here's weather news for the period today till midnight. Trinidad and Tobago, sunny conditions will likely be interrupted by a few cloudy periods with showers. There's a medium chance of isolated heavy showers or thunderstorm activity mainly during the afternoon. Few partly cloudy spells overnight with showers, gusty winds, and street or flash flooding can occur in the event of heavy showers or thunderstorms. You can expect a temperature high of 34 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 33 degrees Celsius at Crown Point in Tobago. Currently, it is already 29 degrees Celsius at Piarco and 26 at Crown Point. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, national awards conferred on 65 nationals. Criminal Bar Association defends the selection of senior counsel Russell Martino as a recipient of this country's highest national award. Former acting commissioners of police hit back at Gary Griffith, who claims their national awards were because of political favoritism. November 29th is the new deadline date for the payment of the property tax, and Government Senator Laura Lazama-Lee Singh defends herself after an interim protection order was granted against her. I'm Avril Sintilbab. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 12 and an update at 8 o'clock. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Avril, for our major news. You can join her again. Come at 8 o'clock for a news brief. Yep, it is 29 degrees already. It's going to be just like yesterday. Traffic, where you think you're going to get it, you will get it. All right? Let's see if we have any more votes coming in from our morning poll where we asked you, should the female officer who reversed a vehicle close to children in a viral video be disciplined? All right. Let's see. We got Tone Look. Let's see. Okay. All right. Scorpion Pepper says yes. Okay, that's that. And I have Gloria Charles Panton saying yes. I get New Hampshire saying yes as well. All righty. Let's get the results of our morning poll.
As Richard with breakfast in mouth.
So our poll this morning, should the female officer who reversed the vehicle close to children in a viral video be disciplined? We have 40 people voting on the poll in the allotted time. Of the 40 people, 39 of you said yes, and one person said no. Of course, you can continue to vote on this poll throughout the day through our programming, and we'll give you the final results on Thursday morning, which will be tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And of course, so that's our poll results. 40 people voting in the allotted time, 39 saying yes, one person saying no. Of course, reminding you, of course, that theater is on this weekend. That's Extravagant News is on at Queen's Hall at the Winifred Atwell Auditorium. Saturday at 8:30, Sunday at 6:30, a brand new comedy at Queen's Hall. It premieres at Queen's Hall on Saturday. Tickets available at the Queen's Hall box office from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. That's Extravagant News. What in the dark comes to the light?
Oh, goodness.
Tickets also available at Electronics Arima, Jabili Rawi in Tunapuna, Anthony's Florals in Val Park Shopping Plaza, Shafley Auto Services, and K-Squared Fashions outlets at Eastgate, West Mall, and Brentwood Mall in Shawgonas. You also have theater on Sunday at the CLR James Auditorium in Cipriani College, with ridiculous 6.5. Some good news, some interesting news I see today in the Daily Express is that there's a trainee scientist / lecturer, Dr. Legina Henry, and they worked out the first ever sargassum and a mix of sargassum and I don't want to say rum exactly, but using sargassum as a fuel and creating a vehicle that can run on sargassum.
I thought they were going to use it for fertilizer.
Well, they can use it for fertilizer as well.
They're going to make a rum with it?
No, fuel for vehicle.
Oh, fuel. They're gonna make fuel. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. So she and her husband, but she's Trinidadian, but she was trained. Of course, she studied at MIT, and but she relocated to Barbados at Keyville, and so there's an interesting article in the Express today about it. So Trini leads project for first sargassum powered vehicle. Isn't that interesting?
Very interesting. No one has ever said, and I may have missed it, where exactly is this sargassum coming from? Has anybody ever said that? Where exactly it's coming from, and how is it being produced in such a large numbers?
Weed.
It's a serious spread, It must be able to be used for something. Nothing goes to waste on God's green earth.
So God created them. You answer yourself.
You can't get any more snarky than that, Richard.
But you answer yourself.
You just had to hear the word God and you just your presence.
No, but you answer yourself. You said nothing is ever created without some use intended by God. I'm paraphrasing you. So then God created it. So why beating up your head for? That's the answer.
So while we wait on our guest, Mr. Mariano Brown.
Oh, you have Mariano?
What you have to say is God said this sargassum, so we could use it in some way.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
We're done. We don't have to do anything else.
Uh-huh.
You just have to work out what it's for. But he does an instruction manual. You just have to work it out.
He actually does it. It's called the Bible.
Oh, so the Bible have the remedy to how to make sargassum into...
It doesn't refer specifically to sargassum. But it will refer to using the gifts that God... Oh, I got this video last night. I got this thing last night. I have a friend who lives in Portugal, who just like all yeah. Look, don't tell him nothing about God. He said.
When you say all you, what do you mean?
Oh God, you know what? Let me take Paul out of that. Who like Richard and another very good friend of mine. They don't want to hear that more. Richard don't friend. Anyway, I sent, where is he? Gershwin. Let me get Gershwin video. I'm going to send it for you. All, and you'll tell me what you think. It says, it's like, well, I think he's a stand-up comic, actually. I'm going to send it in the chat, and I'm going to send it to Paul. Paul, you need to come back in the chat. You see this double sending that stuff? I can't take it. Just block your ears and your eyes to some of the other things if you don't like it. But you need to come back in the chat. Right? Yeah, so I sent it for you all. Very interested. You laugh.
Oh, by the way, I spoke to the Minister of Public Administration. And she indicated to me post the interview with Robert Plant that I think the launch of the Arima Smart City is going to be, if not this week, next week. They're about to launch it. So we had
was it launched already?
No. It was not launched in the sense of being launched. That it's not
completed.
Yes. And so she indicating to me a lot of the logistics that goes into it. And she says after it's launched, she's quite willing to come on to the program and be interviewed about it. So I said, okay, fine.
Good. I also got Brian Lara's email address and so on yesterday because I spoke to him about being interviewed, about his book and about his life. I mean, his book is about his life. I think it'll make an interesting interview with Brian. So
yeah, I did try to reach out to him.
Yeah. Well, yesterday would not have been a good time. Yesterday was a party in that booth after.
Yeah, and then he went to Harvard Club for book signing at 5 o'clock yesterday.
Oh, he did? All right.
Yeah. I did WhatsApp him after. I did WhatsApp him and check in here now. Right.
Yeah.
He has not opened it up again.
Give him some time to wake up today. you know. But it'll make an interesting interview. Because I'm reading the book and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. He had some choice words for Jeffrey Dujon, how he was the type of wicketkeeper he was.
Jeffrey Dujon was the one who was like Kevin Hart height?
No, Jeffrey Dujon was tall. He was like,
was there one like
as tall as Paul as a wicketkeeper.
Wasn't there one like Kevin Hart?
He never used to move his feet. He just used to throw his frame. Like what they tell Paul to do, just dive. That's what Jeffrey Dujon used to do.
Wasn't there one like Kevin Hart height?
Yes, we had David Williams was Kevin Hart height. We had Randall. We had what's the other guy named too? We had an next short one too. But David Williams was the shortest. He was actually Trinidadian. Huh?
I know there was one of them that I thought was pretty short. I just couldn't remember.
Nah, Dujon was tall. I don't know if he ever got hit in his jewels either, but he. Paul, you mustn't tell me things, you know. I don't forget to know.
I'm not laughing.
Oh, Lord.
But back then, they used to play with box and thing, you know. People used to put on box and tie pad and all them pads. All them sort of thing they have now for cricket to protect all different parts here. Back in the day, we were using them thing, you know. You know how much fast bowling I face without helmet and thing? And without arm pads and thing?
It makes so much sense now.
I was an opening batsman, so I was facing pace. I was facing. Pace.
I think I can open up the lines in the interim while we're waiting for Mariano Brown.
Yeah, trying to call it.
Derek Murray was another short one. Thanks, Keegan. Derek Murray was also short.
Let's open up the lines in the interim. So
good morning, caller.
222-8255. Good morning.
Good morning.
I think the call was disconnected.
Yeah, it was. She's not there.
Yeah. I heard it kind of go.
You read what Crackwell said?
Yes, I read it. I read it.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, look, did I do the restore? Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. You hung up the phone on me, man. Anyhow.
You see how you don't get your facts straight at all? The phone is cut off. I didn't hang up on you.
But she sound like a policewoman there.
There was a guy a couple of years ago that find a way for water to run a vehicle instead of gas, and they killed him.
Okay.
Which one is that true?
I wouldn't know, Wendell. I just reported the news in the Express.
Go ahead, Ms. Sampson. I have a lot of calls coming through.
Yes, I was saying that there was a gentleman who find a way for water.
Yeah, we heard that, yes.
Wendell, I would like to tell you that they cut down the last 2 trees in San Fernando by San Fernando Hospital. They don't know to cut down 1 and plant 2. And concerning the person who said no to the poll, I would like to have the explanation beside the no.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, big guy.
Hi. I want to allude to something with respect to the property tax. Someone said this, that if this big matter, no problem though. If you're in America, you'll pay property tax. The first thing I'd say is that with the property tax in America, you get your services rate. The second thing, I'll speak quick. There's a program called the STAR program for New York State. And this is something all governments should take into consideration. If your household is below a certain income, you receive a check in the mail to pay your property tax. And this year they're giving out $2.6 billion. So they take into consideration your household income. Because next to me there are 2 old ladies who own a house. And naturally if they get calculated same as I, they may have to afford. So they will get a check in the mail. They call it a tax-free program that helps them pay their property tax. And as I said, it's something that not only Trinidad government, but all governments all over the world should take into consideration the income of the people who living in the house. I think the limit is 500,000. If you're working less than that, you get a check in the mail that assists you to pay your property tax. So that is something that so people take into consideration. And so paying property tax up here, yes, you pay it, but we do get some sort of relief. Okay, gentlemen? And it's called STAR, it's called the STAR, STAR, STAR School Property Tax Relief Program. You can Google it and see what's about. Have a nice day, gentlemen.
All right, big guy, thank you.
It's hard to judge as yet what they're going to do with the property tax because it's been 15 years people have paid anything. So you can only talk about what you get and what you ain't get next couple of years or so. You can't talk about it now.
Yeah. Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Sorry about my typo this morning. I was saying that I don't think the police has got any de-escalation training, right? So that may be one of the reasons why they always so aggressive. And
what is de-escalation training anyway?
It's about trying to avoid not getting into conflicts, right? When you're in dealing with the population, you have emotional people, and you can't be just as emotional and want to get into. If you notice, most of these conflicts that we see with police is because of small talk, Police just want to engage in too much small talk with civilians. Do your job and forget the people and they're wicked. You want to respond to the wicked woman. And you want to engage with the fellow who's telling you, who asking them, you're looking them up? I don't have to tell you why you're looking up. He's not involved with the situation. But they always want to engage with all kind of miscellaneous people, and that has caused the situation to escalate. You understand? That is the first thing.
But Lincoln, before you go further, they also always want to involve themselves in situations that they need not at the point in time.
Correct. Correct. It doesn't. Yes. Correct. That's another scenario too.
All right. Go ahead, Lincoln.
For Richard, last week or week before, I predicted that there will be an extension. And you kind of sarcastically call me the Minister of Finance, and how I know that. I noticed there's not a word from you this morning. They say, well,
you want a medal? You want a national award because you predicted going you want a medal?
De-escalation training.
The medal you want for that? Richard, you make some grand prediction. Everybody
guys, take it down. Power Breakfast Show has a de-escalation segment. Take it down.
I would just like a little acknowledgement to say, you know what? I don't want to use the word I want to use it. I messed up the man. I tried to humiliate the man because he made a statement and the statement was absolutely correct. That's all. But I know you're narcissistic way.
Yes, Lincoln.
All right. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning.
Take it down.
Good morning. Good morning. Dr. Paul. Good morning, Wendell. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning, Ms.
Lincoln, that was your
As if you make some grand prediction, all of we know is going to happen.
What's the
Take it down.
Everybody knew that, but that was.
You're going to say, I predict that Saturday coming tomorrow, and you want a medal for that.
Because I and all knew that. So, I mean.
You may have known it, but you didn't say it.
No, but I find that.
You didn't say it, so you're out of the conversation.
It was given. That is a given.
You want a medal for stating the obvious?
Yeah, but Lincoln said it. You all didn't say it. Lincoln said it.
Lincoln said it.
You have to say the obvious.
Give a award now. He'll get for next year.
It's going to rain sometime tomorrow in some place in Trinidad and Tobago. Prediction.
That is it. But things that are so obvious, people say it and say, well, they're
Thank you.
I mean,
what do they have against Lincoln?
Yeah.
No, but it's fix everything. Remember the police. I don't know what you have with the police. I mean, something stupid the police like to do too. But what it is, the police, I don't know if you ever like anything.
I tell you what it is already, you know.
Well, the Bretty wife. Anyway, this viral thing with this police, I saw it about midnight last night, and I was so upset. I was saying, look, we stay so lawless that people looking at citizens, normal citizens, looking at some of our leaders, how they behave, and they are behaving the same way. Even young children, so aggressive. 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds being so aggressive because I caused a young child in the road. I mean, coming from school last week, I said, excuse me, how old are you? And he said 8. I said, so why are you behaving like that? Like they have fire in them, like ready to burst. I said, oh my gosh. But at least he didn't answer me back for 10 any words because I was great, give a good shake if he had done that, So things are not going well in the country. So people are just doing what they want. Some people are saying, because I'm not doing what I want. I following what's supposed to be right. Anyway, Wendell, I thought of you yesterday when I was watching cricket. I had to say the teacher make her wake up early. I done plan. I mean, I wasn't well for the few days, so I started taking a good rest. I remember the cricket starting at 10. I got up early, get organized, sit down in front of my TV, to see the nonsense they're playing. That upset me.
Yeah, we played badly
yesterday. So much that I say, I know you watching the last 2 overs, especially when I saw Bravo went out to bat, which I found was kind of, why is he going out to bat with that kind of injury? Yes. So all of that made me figure, I want to say the World Cup Paul will pull him up. So I was going to say something else about the game, but I would Paul say, you have no fact. And I don't want to be like, I don't have no fact. Right? I don't want to say what I really want to say about that game, and I want pieces to that one, a couple of times, who we lost 2 games to, that game as well. I have something about. Right, so you all have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Dwayne Bravo, in my opinion, should have ended cricket the day he had the fanfare, the Oval, where he had an excellent game, finished right there, done. He went yesterday again and got serious. It looked like he has a groin injury. And there is nothing more painful than that for a sportsman. Nothing, a groin injury. And he went out there and risked it again to bat. I mean, he came in last, but still, why would you do yourself that? Don't do those things, man. Go out in a blaze of glory, man. Come on.
Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. I had to call back again. Wendell, you said something earlier on with a young person that was very good in the church and involved in things. Yeah. And they join the police service, and when they come out a different way.
Yes.
There's a new story right now in the media, and I only call back because of I kind of agree. And I wonder if you all could get someone to come in, some psychologist, criminal psychologist, or some psychologist to have a discussion to figure out why is it. Because the young person I know was, because the police called me to do an interview to get them into SWAT, the Army and the Coast Guard. And if you realize something over the past couple of years, there is a segment of crime that's happening in the country from persons who in the protective services, who now join the protective services, just come out from a batch. They have some tie to the protective services. So I want to know, and that's why I say it kind of triggers something in me. Because as I say, I know a young individual just get locked up for murder. And he was just in the protective services and just come out with a batch of them. Is it something that they train in, part of the training program? And the next thing to add to that is that in any job that you start now, there's something called a psychometric test you have to do to figure out your temperament. Do we know if the police protective services, I say the protective services as a whole, if they just do that type of testing now before somebody joins the services, or you just have 3 CXC passes, you pass the batch thing and you're gone?
It's not 3, it's 5 passes that you have to.
Yeah.
Well, it's 5 now. So, okay, 5 CXC passes, with that 3 being a pass now, and you best pass the medical and the batch training, and that is it, your officer?
Well, strange enough, I had a discussion with an officer too, a senior officer who retired also too. And it just seems that the more educated or more provisions we put in there for education into the police service, the worse we get in from it. It just seems so, you know, because you have to assume a lot of these officers now have some basic level of education because that is what is required to get in there. And the attitude is that it stinks. It just gets
That's why I'm
worse.
asking for a criminal psychologist and or a psychometric test. Because I know I just do a psychometric test. And I used to give people psychometric tests before I hire them. Those tests, you have to answer 100 questions. And when you answer those questions, they try to figure out how you will deal with a situation as an individual. And I think they should do that before you join the service. And about 2 years after in the service, you do another one to figure out if the mindset of the individual, because remember, you're dealing with people too. And all of us want to be treated by the police. And somebody, a caller just call and say, well, the police just talk too much. But then they just have people that say, well, if the police don't explain why they're locking up a man, they go think it's police brutality or they're taking advantage of an individual. So I agree with Paul in something. Paul had told me something before where you have to educate the people and you have to give people information on why they're doing certain things and this. But you can't just say, well, because notice, I just see when police come to lock up people, it'll be 1 or 2 officers. It'll be a whole batch. And one man does be dealing with the people and the next group of them dealing with the locking up of the man. And then people...
But sir, let me tell you something. In many of those circumstances, there's nothing the police can say to assuage the anger of the crowd if the person is a particular situation. So, and I'm not sure that the police should be having to explain, well, I'm locking him up because we suspect we have evidence that he picked up this person. No. Do it in a respectful, professional manner. De-escalate as much as possible and do your job.
Well, interestingly enough, I just went on to the TTPS's Trinidad and Tobago Police Services recruitment page, and it says, how do I become a police officer? And these are some of the things that you have to go through. You have to be a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, be required to pass a medical examination, be required to undergo a polygraph test, psychological test, and be tested for dangerous drugs at the cost of the service. So psychological testing is part of it.
Yeah.
I hope that
That's good to see. That is very good to see. Well, now I guess they have to just, when they're doing maintenance, so like how in every typical job you have a review. They do a psychometric test at the point of the review because for some reason you're going one way and you come out next. Anyway, let other people need to call.
Thank you.
Not to take any time.
All righty.
I don't know what jobs do psychometric testing at periodic times. I don't know jobs that do that.
The police is one that should be done. I think that's the point he's making.
I don't know, but I'm saying in regular jobs, you don't get psychometric testing sporadically. Or
regular jobs, Richard, don't have the kind of power a police officer has, you know.
No, I'm not disputing that, but I'm just saying it's unusual. You may get psychometric testing at the point of recruitment, but you don't get it like at a performance review point of view. They don't really give you a psychometric testing unless there's some alarm bell rung that it's required for some reason.
You know what a police officer could do this morning? Decide the lips, these lips celeste. You see, she ignoring me. I making and she ignoring me.
We have a call here.
And I go in and chat you with something. And that's it, you know. They could just do that, you know. What could she do? And I use her as an example because she's been defending a lot in the chat and sometimes personally. That police officer could change her life in the morning or now, right now, as we speak.
Yeah,
I bet you should become a police hater.
Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Mr. Paul Richard, Stephen Wendell. Good morning. I was reading about the order, a protection order. A protection order is a dangerous piece of business. I don't know if you really understand a protection order. A protection order is a document stating you need legal, lawful protection against somebody or some people. And once I reach in the court, somebody had to prove the innocence. You know, Wendell?
Yes, it becomes a court matter that you're called to defend at some point in time.
And in protection orders have medical and all kind of police report and things to it. A lot of people don't know that.
Well, it depends on what you report.
It doesn't have to be a medical. It doesn't have to be medical.
Yeah.
It's a wide range. It's broad.
I have a friend recently go on. She had us go to the hospital, get a medical, and go to
court.
But
I'm saying it's broader than that.
Yeah.
I know.
It depends on the nature of your report, Mr. Patrick.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, anytime a woman takes a protection order against me, I'm going to file for divorce and done. Because that relationship could never be good again after that.
Interestingly enough, I'm moderating one of two panel discussions today under the Office of the Attorney General regarding domestic violence. And the same protection order issue was the case Lampkin, which I'm sure you're familiar with it, where Samantha Stacey Isaacs, the judge in the case ruled and issued the following orders. A, Samantha Isaacs' right to life is guaranteed by Section 4A of the Constitution was infringed. Samantha Isaacs' rights to equality before the law and protection of the law was guaranteed in Section 4B was infringed. Monetary compensation to be paid to the claimant as a result of aforementioned unconstitutional action because of several failings of state institutions in a protection order case.
Yep.
It's a landmark case that the state is being held liable for failing because protection orders and complaints were made to police and other agencies who, in the view of the court, failed the woman.
Yeah, I remember when that made news.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you want protection from something, and who is to give protection and not the law?
Yeah.
But several agencies are
the law to give protection.
Police, the courts to act in a timely manner.
Yeah. But well, I'm the Mr. Gary Griffith this morning. The people get the award and what's the problem? What is the problem?
I didn't even
say you get your award when time come by. Take your time now, boy.
I don't understand how we could say it's political. Stephen Williams was not
known. We get that.
Stephen Williams was not known to be politically on the side
Thanks,
of this.
Mr. Patrick.
So I don't know how we could say that is political.
Take your time now, boy. Thanks for that, Mr. Patrick. That might be the name of the next play.
Take your time now, boy.
Take your time now, boy.
Chill out now, boy.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
I
think all the officers go out on a shift. They should get together and say a prayer and have a pep talk, something like common sense is there before book sense. And Dr. Paul, I think you should try to get somewhere where you can discuss police officers paying for whatever nonsense they do instead of my taxpayers' money that is not working for me. It's working for everybody else. You damage something, you do something, pay for it. The state shouldn't be paying for it. What? You damage a vehicle, fix it. Whatever else you do, pay out of your own pocket, and they will pull up themselves. Once they know they have to pay for the nonsense, they will check themselves because money coming out of their pocket. That's the thing.
Well, they are agents of the state, and when you're agents of the state, if a police officer has done you wrong, or a group of police officers has done you wrong, and you have to sue the state to get compensation, you would prefer the state pay you than them because they may say, we have no money, and you get zero.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is why they operate like if they don't care.
But it's not that they don't. I don't think they operate like they don't care. But I'm just saying that agents of the state can be held liable, and that's why citizens bring those actions against agents of the state. I'm not just talking about TTPS officials; it could be whoever.
But Richard, there are laws where there are caveats, in particular, for which recently passed, and I know on the books where agents of the state, for example, on boards who act in a deliberate, deleterious manner are held personally accountable.
Mm-hmm. That's a fiduciary duty.
Yeah, exactly.
Akin to what happens with the OPR. Mm-hmm. You are liable as the accounting officer in terms of procurement because that's money and that you're dealing with. But in terms of personal harm by an agent of the state, a lot of the times you prefer the state you sue because you know the state have the covers to pay you.
You know what might be, you know what might be worth a while, Paul, and we'll task you with this responsibility this morning to find someone from the police training barracks and to explain to us about the training procedure, what actually takes place during the time that they're there. It might be worth a while. I don't know who's in charge of the barracks now. I know I used to have a good friend there, Curtis Simmons, who's a senior superintendent. I think
I'll get someone.
Yeah,
that's a good suggestion, sir.
Yes, it is. I'm sure. Thank you very much. Or you could get the police information division to give you some information.
Is there someone in particular you have in mind?
Do that on a day when I'm not here.
No, I want to a Monday or Wednesday, not a Friday.
Good morning, caller.
They wouldn't agree.
You have anyone you want to like to suggest?
I'll send you a name and number.
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Richard, I want to find out. Well, I heard Dr. Rowley spoke about the court ordering the UNC to pay them compensation for whatever they have taken them to court for. And he said, up to now, they haven't paid that money. So I am wondering, I say, wait, days were going on in this country. The courts could order you to pay somebody compensation and you could renege on it. What is your redress on your ordered damages? Because when I heard that, I say a bollock like you know who, what? And I'm saying, but wait, so then those two talk show hosts on the other station where Junior Sammy won his case with Libel, them don't bound to pay that money then. I don't understand
this. That station's a new management.
Serious?
But there is recourse for anybody who is owed an order of the court, unless it has been appealed and there is a stay of execution, because you have to apply for a stay of execution that says, do not enforce this order while my appeal is waiting to be heard. And after the appeal is heard, then the appeal can make whatever decision. But if there is nothing like that, my best advice is to consult your attorney.
Wendell, I find the PNM taking this thing lightly. It was the UNC. They would have been on the PNM case to pay them that money. Come on, man. All you want money or what? And that case with Junior Sammy, it was an appeal case, because the two talk show hosts appealed the matter when Frank Siposat ordered them. And they appealed it and they lost. They lost the appeal. So I am saying, wait, I thought a court order was serious. My God.
All right, thank you.
Dr. Rowley,
I still waiting payment from one.
All right, thank you, Big Martin.
I still waiting payment.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. Good morning. Good topic.
Morning.
I just have a little comment to make. I believe that integrity breeds trust, and the TTPS senior guys should be able to at least enforce that and continue to monitor that. I was just thinking about the kids. Can you imagine they're growing up, and no one comes to talk to them to let them know, well, okay, that's not okay, and guide them. They're going to be growing up fearing that situation, questioning that situation on a long-term basis. They're going to be confused at a young age. How do we expect them to react to that? A lot of things can come out of the situation. And I just think that the TTPS should continue to enforce integrity within their officers. That's my comment.
Thank you.
All right, we still have time to take some of your calls. 222-8255, North Americans, 866-525-1099. I tried calling our guest.
But she was off duty or not, I saw her wearing a t-shirt with a police insignia on it. Okay? So unless she broke the law and is not an officer and wearing that, because if you're not an officer, you're not supposed to be wearing that.
Yeah.
It's not a Manchester United t-shirt. Okay?
But the person was filming it, who allegedly is her sister, her elder sister.
Suggestion that she might be in office and she was off duty, kind of.
She
Either way,
called her an SRP and said, that's why you will remain an SRP. Yeah. This person filming it said all that,
But my contention, she had on a uniform with a police monogram on it. Sorry, a T-shirt with a police monogram on it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I could put on a T-shirt with a police monogram on it and not be a police.
Somebody said, Richard, somebody messaged me, somebody who I consider reliable, that the incident happened right near me, right near us here in Cocorit Road in Arima. Off Cocorit Road, a road off Cocorit Road in Arima. I won't call the name of the road. But it happened right here.
Okay. Arima again.
Paul, you serious?
You're slow to act in that tongue,
Oh, God.
That borrow.
Oh,
Yes, why you say waiting for your smash? Is it 10, 15 years now?
I talking about the radio station thing.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
As at last week.
You understand, Richard, that one.
Good morning, caller.
Hey, morning, fellas. Yeah, but well, we talking about the police and thing, but I like to look at the whole. This nation tense, man. This nation really tense. And I mean, one story, I get two stories. One is they found that the doctors and the students, and didn't have any empathy and for the patients and thing, and they couldn't relate to them properly. So they had to educate them. They had to put some training in it, and it did improve. They said they thought. But then the other day we had a friend. They were doing some giving away some baskets, food baskets, and this person 2 baskets. She mistakenly gave the 2 baskets to one person, and the other person came looking for their basket, wasn't there, and that thing escalated from 0 to 100, gun threatened and gun. So the person, the little girl who was there, made a mistake. She got frightened. She leave one time. She think, and everybody was like, "Why, are you serious, man?" And you hear so many stories of people being unhinged in Trinidad and Tobago.
That's a good word. That's a good word. Unhinged. Plenty people unhinged.
Yeah, yeah. We have to. I know the police have training to do, but we have real training to do with our citizenry, man. That Richard, you talk about this from a human. That lack of humanity in our society is very, very evident, and we really have to deal with it in a way. And the only way I know is our education system. But, all right, so
thank you.
But for a lot of people, the only way they know is through prayers too, eh?
Good morning.
Hey, good morning. I don't understand human beings. I don't know if my voice is so synonymous with criticizing the police. But a woman call and say that she don't understand what is my problem with the police, and then criticize the same thing I criticize about the police. So it's just that I alone mustn't say nothing then. Everybody else sees the police doing something wrong, say it wrong, but I mustn't say it wrong. When I say it wrong, I have something against the police. What I'm doing is highlighting the ills that police is doing. Why, when it comes from my voice, it's like it's an anti-police statement. And the police doing something and all kind of thing. Yes, Wendell?
Can I advise you? Stop. Don't let that bother you. You do what you have to do, because they say the same thing about me too. Just do what you have to do. As long as you're not bringing anybody into dispute, or you're not telling lies.
That's what I'm not going to say. I'm not stating anything false. Everything that I'm stating is out there. When for example, let me make a next prediction, Paul. I don't know if you're listening. I call him blind. When the 3,000 body cameras come and they give it to bike police and this one, not GB and all the different things that is do raids, they're still not going to see anything, because guess what? The wrong set of police have them. They're not going to give it to the police and then that going on house raids and going and execute warrants and all these things to catch any video footage. Mind you, I would like to say this though, in defense of the police. The United States, which has body cameras, it is still a challenge for the footage to be released with all the freedom of information and all the different things that they do have in place. Sometimes it is still a challenge. Sometimes with body footage but the camera footage are released a year later, so much time later. So even if it happens in Trinidad that they get the body cameras, I don't think viewing it will be a different challenge that we have in Trinidad and Tobago, even if they get it. You understand?
You know, Lincoln,
still.
What you just said fits in with what the retired police officer and I spoke about on Monday after the show, right? And I would love to interview him. So, if you're listening and you want to be interviewed as a former police officer, senior police officer, and your opinion on that, exactly what Lincoln talking about, that release of that footage and where it's going and who's responsible for it, we'll appreciate it. Just reach out to me and we'll get you on the show.
And very often what people don't consider is if it is a situation, for example,
Thank you, Lincoln.
A high-profile case, releasing body cam footage that may go viral may have implications of convening a jury afterward, you know.
Pre-trial, what do they call it? Pre-trial publicity.
Pre-trial publicity. It may have implications on ongoing case.
Yes.
Because then
Those are the words he used too.
Yeah, you make an assessment based on a video alone without all the evidence, and not to convene a jury that may not have seen that or may have not formed an opinion of that may be difficult.
Yes.
It's not just about the public interest in the video. There are usually complex court cases that come out of those situations.
Yeah. My opinion to him was that it certainly will change the culture of the police officers here. It'll take some time, but it will change the culture of our policing here, I feel.
Well, I don't think it needs to be released to the public if you have a properly functioning police service for them to take action based on the video.
Yeah.
And then the public will see that some sort of action has been taken if the tribunal, which I don't like, just meet once every 5 years, deems it based on the evidence and the video and the other evidence that this officer did not act in accordance with police policy.
Yeah.
You understand? But
I don't think the police sometimes know how important they are to the citizenry of Trinidad and Tobago, you know. Because if I hear a noise outside now and I see something fall in my ear, who are going to call? Is the police?
Let me ask you a basic question. And it's a serious question because I don't know the answer. If 100 people apply to be police officers, how many of those want to serve? Or how many of those do it because I have nothing else to do? Or how many of those want to do it because, well, I get in a position of power and I could do X and Y and Z or for nefarious reasons? You understand?
Good question.
Yeah. How many of those people are applying really, or maybe my father was a police, or I want to do because I want to serve, or is a means to end? That's the question I would ask.
But you could ask for the same thing of 100 teachers to Peter Pan.
And it's equally applicable because we have problems in teaching service too.
Yeah.
The difference is a teacher can arrest you and take away your freedom in the road.
True.
You all have a wonderful day. Be safe. And remember, let go and let God.
Well said.
Teachers could sometimes do worse.
In terms of damage to children if they're doing the wrong thing, but they still can't take away liberties in the street.
Yes. Folks, have an absolutely wonderful day. Remember to let go and let God.
All right, so have a fantastic day, whatever you're doing on this Wednesday morning. And just reminding you the theaters on this weekend. You have Cipriani College, Ridiculous 6.5, which is on Sunday. And of course, you also have That's Extravagant News, which is on at Queen's Hall. Brand new comedy launching at Queen's Hall at the Winifred Atwell Auditorium on Saturday, this Saturday at 8:30 p.m. on Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Of course, tickets available at Queen's Hall from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. And all the usual outlets. Check RSR Productions Theater on Facebook and Instagram for all of the information, including how to purchase online. Have a fantastic day. And remember to smile and laugh. It's great for your health.
All right. Thank you, Richie Rich. Let's get into our 8 o'clock news brief.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It is time for your news update to 8 o'clock. I'm Avril Sintil-Bab. Good morning. 65 nationals were conferred with national awards recognizing their outstanding service in Trinidad and Tobago in areas such as culture and the arts, sport, public service, and medicine at the National Awards held at President's House in Port of Spain on Sunday. The nation's highest award, the Order of Trinidad and Tobago, was bestowed to 3 recipients this year. They are former National Gas Company President Mark Loquan, who has many years of experience in the energy sector and served as an energy executive in Europe, Africa, the United States of America, and the Caribbean. Professor Patrick Hossain received the ORTT for Technology and Engineering, and the third ORTT recipient, Russell Martino SC, was absent at the event. Former acting commissioners of police James Filbert and Stephen Williams have hit back at Gary Griffith, who claimed their national awards were because of political favoritism. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service Social and Welfare Association also believes Griffith's comments were in poor taste. Gary Griffith, who is himself a past commissioner of police of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, had no congratulatory words for either Stephen Williams or James Filbert, who yesterday received the Shakonia Medal Silver for their contributions to national security. Government Senator Laura Lazama-Lee Singh has categorically denied being capable of the horrendous act she's been accused of after an interim protection order was granted against her. She says she's waiting for her day in court. In a pre-action protocol letter to a social media blogger yesterday, Lazama-Lee Singh, through her attorneys, defended her character after posts accompanied by negative comments were made about her on social media in relation to the protection order. And the vehicle that struck the 6-year-old child on a beach in Clifton Hill in Point Fortin is a stolen vehicle, police investigations have revealed. Assistant Commissioner of Police of the South and Southwestern Police Divisions, Wayne Meister, told the media on Monday that in addition to charges related to the incident on the beach, investigations are being conducted into the theft of the vehicle. On Saturday evening, 6-year-old Samir Singh was struck by a car that drove along the shoreline of a beach in Clifton Hill in Point Fortin. Little Samir was playing on the sand when a Nissan Latio struck him head-on. The suspect was detained by an off-duty police officer who was on the beach. That was your update to 8 o'clock. Look out for news in full at 12 noon.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
Alrighty, it is 2.5 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock on this, the 91 days to Christmas, the 25th day of September. Yes, your mic is on. Good morning. I see you testing your mic there.
How are you doing?
Not bad. How are you?
Good. I'm good.
Wonderful. You're in for Mom this morning.
I am. We're stepping in for Denise Deming this morning.
Am she well traveling long, or can I well take on that trip?
I think she was in Croatia, and now she's in England.
All righty. All right. Morning to you. Go ahead.
Morning. Thank you. Welcome to today's show. My name is Keith Deming. I'm stepping in as host for today, usually hosted by Denise Deming. And today I have a wonderful guest. I just realized because I've known her for so long, I just realized that she has a new last name. So Rachel, congratulations. I know it's been a while, and I do know your husband well. So how are you doing this morning? I can't hear you. Are you on mute?
Yeah, Rachel, you're muted. Right, there you go. Try that.
Still can't hear Rachel.
Still not hearing you. Still, maybe you have to do the level thing.
Yeah.
And
so I guess while we wait for Rachel to see if her mic is working.
Yeah, she's on still. She's just checking it out.
Technology works when it's great when it works.
Oh yeah.
But in the meantime,
when it doesn't work, you go. What happened there?
That was an interesting show y'all had this morning, by the way.
Oh, was it okay? Yeah. Our guest never showed up. I don't know what happened, but
okay.
I'm sure he'll call this morning sometime and so Steve, I'm so sorry I overslept. But he sent me a message at 1:30 this morning. When I woke up, I saw that. I said, "This man doesn't sleep."
He sent you a message at 1:30 saying he wasn't coming?
No, he just said good morning. Every morning he sends something. So this time was at 1:30. So for you, he's probably still sleeping.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. Now anyway, I listen the body camera thing. I think the bottom line with everything in Trinidad is that we solve the surface problems, we don't solve the deep problems.
Exactly.
So even if we solve,
that's what we were saying. Let's see if
even
Rachel.
if we solve the body camera issue.
Hello?
Hi, Rachel.
Yes, we are hearing you now.
Danny.
We're not seeing you now, but we're hearing you.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. Great.
All right, there you go. 10 fingers up in the air and wave them like you just don't care. All right, so let's start over. Good morning to you once again.
Good morning.
So good morning, Rachel. How about for folks who have no idea who you are, how about you just give us an introduction?
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Rachel Renie-Gonzalez recently.
Yeah.
I was told that most men don't care if you change your last name, but I think they do. I think they do. So I've compromised. So I'm now Renie-Gonzalez. And I will work for food. I'm passionate about local food, local agriculture. I've been an entrepreneur for 16 years. So basically most of my life, adult life. And aside from being passionate about local food, it's about bringing access to everyone in the Caribbean to remember and identify with the foods that they grew up with and the things that nourished us for so long. I think food is the beginning and the end. So I guess, yeah.
So the first thing I want to know for you is, what is your food story?
That's my question. That's what I ask everyone.
I know, that's what I'm asking you.
I think my food story is basically my father said that he wanted to Douglarize the nation. So that was his vision.
How many kids does he have?
He has 4 kids.
Yeah.
I think he's been successful so far.
Yeah, but that's small compared to some men.
Yeah. But his dream, I think, was to really integrate so that we can focus on the real issues and the real challenges around us, and we can move past race and all these things. So, of course, my mom is East Indian and my dad is Spanish and Black. So my food story is really my parents competing on whose food is better. So every week it would be no curry, no pilau, no, so I think that balance has allowed me to experience quite a comprehensive and vast food story. I think that question is so important to ask persons because your relationship with food, I believe, sort of is a ripple effect into every relationship you have. Because it's the thing you do daily, it's the habit you build. And it's nothing just only about, salads and whatnot, but it's really about identifying with the foods that you eat. And I think because I got that balance, I was able to see, just what the Caribbean had to offer, that there's so much variety, which is what makes us special, what makes us unique. And I think food is the first step in finding that identity and, just nourishing. So my food story would be well-balanced Caribbean food.
So whose food is better, your mom or your dad?
I am not answering that on my mom is my dad, unfortunately, is no longer here, but I still feel he's listening in, and I'm not going to answer that. But I will say both are equally good. And being exposed to both really helped me open up a whole new world in my life and my trajectory.
So you obviously have a future in politics ahead because you're quite diplomatic. So tell us a little bit about your inspiration. And you founded a company with your partner, David, who I also know.
Yes.
What inspired you? Here's the thing. What inspired you to take an e-commerce approach to something that's so analog? You took a digital approach to food, to something that's so analog, and you did that in the Caribbean where digital adoption is lagging. Tell us a little bit about what prompted you all to take that approach.
It's a couple of factors. D Market Movers was co-founded in 2009 with David Thomas. I met David in the bank. The night shift. That was my first job at 17. My parents said I needed a job. And I met David, and, he was just so excited about food, and he's from Las Cuevas. He would bring fresh fish to work. My brother and I were in agriculture at the time, and we would put seasoning with the fish, and we started creating these bundles for staff, for our co-workers. And pretty soon it became just way more exciting to bring the freshest local food to our co-workers who were working night shifts, so obviously didn't have the time or capacity to really go out there and get the best foods. We would order whatever was available at night, which is usually fast food. So being able to give them that access to fresh food is what ignited the business. In terms of e-commerce, I actually went to college in the States as well after the bank. And there I saw, business models coming out that were online, that were in the e-commerce space. And I knew that, usually when you see things in other countries, it tends to trickle down and influence. The other factor was really money. We couldn't afford a brick and mortar store. So
There we go.
I felt building a website on Yahoo, a free website on Yahoo with a jot form embedded into the website, was just, again, another context of giving us access. And I think because we were in the bank and we were exposed to those digital platforms and channels, we were able to send a link and have persons order instead of dropping off the physical form. So it was a mix of both having that startup money to really start the business, as well as just seeing the efficiency and what the future was telling us was going to come our way. So
yeah. So for people who are listening and they have no idea about the scale of your business, so you started the business with a Yahoo website and a jot form.
Yes.
Give us some numbers today, like how many people you've served, how many clicks you've gotten, like what's the size of you go from 10 customers to give us some idea of your scale.
Yeah, when we first started, we had 10 online customers. They were from the bank. They were some family members. We now have an online database, online shopper database of over 10,000 online shoppers. And I will say 25% of that is actually not in Trinidad and Tobago. It's actually all over the world. It's the diaspora who orders fresh produce, groceries for their families here. And again, e-commerce being online, it gave us that access to a wider audience. To date, we've delivered over 750,000 deliveries. And in the early years, it was me and David doing all the deliveries. Clearly, we are no longer doing all the deliveries. And we've been able to sell over 1.5 million pounds of local food on the internet. And I will say, when we started, we had this idea to sell online. And we were told, Caribbean people, Trinidadians, would never really buy food on the internet. And I mean, this is in 2009, which kind of made sense at the time because most people didn't have credit cards. They didn't have personal computers. But now everyone has a smartphone. They have access to the internet. So again, having that idea at the earlies is what sort of led us into that, being able to access such a large online market.
So one of the things I think we should click on is going from, like, let's say 10. Today is 10 where you're at, and 0 is like the first day you put up the Yahoo website in a jot form. I think the hardest part for entrepreneurship is going from 0 to 2.
Mm-hmm.
From, like, how do you go from an idea to starting to implement? Then you see some traction. By the time you get to 4 or 5, you're like, okay, I think we can take a good bet at this. But most people drop in that 0 to 3 zone. Tell us about some of the challenges you had as you navigated that space.
So I believe in proof of concept. That 10 customers, our measure was, did they order the next week or the next month? So that proof of concept is really that first measure. You put something out there, you got someone to buy it. Did they come back and ask you for it again? Now, obviously, you have to know the sales cycle. If your turnover is 1 year or every day or every week, you use that as your measure, right? So I think understanding that, if the person proof of concept is you offer a solution to a problem, and was the customer satisfied and did they return an order again? So that was our measure. When we got those first 10 customers, most of them reordered the following 2 weeks. Some had different ordering cycles depending on the size of the family. If it was one person, obviously they would order monthly. If it was, 4 people, they would order, weekly kind of thing. So a family of 4, I mean. So understanding that, proving your concept, I think is that first step. Did the person come back to you? Did they come back and say, I need this product or service, or this was great? And even if they don't respond, it's not necessarily a negative outlook. It could be that you may need to ask some more questions. It could be that you may need to just check in with them. And I will say at 10 customers, start early. Start calling your customers, start checking in with them now, because that's where you prove your concept. And you figure out, maybe it's that they don't know how to use the fruits and vegetables. And we realized pretty quickly we had to add recipes. We had to show them the benefits, the health benefits of the different fruits and vegetables. So these are all aspects that, and I think at that level, especially with any startup or entrepreneur, it's proving your concept earlier on. Because during the pandemic, the orders that we would have gotten for a month, we got every single day for 2 years. Right. So those things, and that's how you're ready to scale when that opportunity comes, because you've proven your concept and you know what the customer is relying on.
Yeah, but you just said a very basic thing, like talk to your customers, get feedback, and iterate on it. And the thing about that is that there are things you build for one customer, you've now got that for all customers. But once you build it once, you can scale that across. So, for example, recipes. Well, this customer needs recipe, they don't know how to use this. Once you do that for one customer, you can now do that for all future customers. So there are lots of benefits around the approach you took, but I like that the approach was very customer centric.
Yeah. So age for sure. Yeah. So the customers were more, they know their recipes. They know what they cook. They know what they're about. You're not going to call, the auntie or, they know what they want. What you need to figure out is they like young cucumbers. They like, they want their pawpaw half ripe because they want it to last the entire week. And this is customization that sort of went into how we figured out. So when someone registers on the website, we know their age right away. So we know exactly how to speak to that particular customer group or segment.
So a couple of things, again, for listeners who have no idea about the scale of and scope of this business, you actually have 4 businesses. Is that correct?
Yes. So our collective mottos will work for food. So that just went down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, well, tell us about the 4 brands. So for people who have no idea who you are, what the 4 brands are, what you'll do, just walk us through them quickly.
Sure. So D Market Movers, online delivery service of greengrocer items. We started that in 2009. Coming out of that, we realized because we were online and our market wasn't really fully online yet, we launched our moving table with Chef Sonia Siniswi, where we started a farm-to-table dining event. And yes, it was in hospitality, but it was really a marketing tool to get to know our customers, have a meal with them. So we would have these farm-to-table meals all across the country. Of course, COVID-19 communal dining didn't really match up. We're hoping to restart. We do it privately now, but we're hoping to restart in 2025 fully. But it's a farm-to-table meal where 95% of the ingredients are locally sourced. Our challenge was that when we were trying to convince persons that local is better, we needed to show it through food, right? You can't tell someone eat bhaji. It's really about how to present it in a farm-to-table dining setting. And I think sharing a meal is a great way to sort of reveal who people are and see, what their feelings are. Then we launched Farm and Function Limited. And again, everything is fed from Market Movers, right? So one of our customers on Market Movers, she called about 9 years ago. Her husband was diagnosed with cancer. Smoothies were not really, we drink punch in the Caribbean. But smoothies, she said her doctor said he had to drink smoothies. And she didn't have time to cut up the fruits. So she asked if we could cut up the fruits, freeze it. And pretty soon we realized every week she was ordering these bags of frozen fruits. And because it was conveniently packaged, easily available, it allowed her no wastage. We were like, okay, could we launch a line of Caribbean frozen fruits? And that's under the Farm and Function Limited brand. We now export regionally. We have over 6 different SKUs. We're in PriceSmart and major retailers. But again, it's understanding that health and convenience and local food was the core of what we were doing, right? Again, moving into that, once we launched Farm and Function, we launched Market Movers Design, because Market Movers already hosted all these SMEs and these food businesses. They all came to us saying, well, how did you do your packaging? How did you do your branding? How did you get into massy stores? How do you get into these major retailers, right? And pretty soon we realized there was a huge gap, right, between marketability and compliance. And I think with local food brands, that's what Market Movers Design tries to solve. We help food brands with their branding, packaging design, and marketability. And we use Farm and Function sort of as a template or testing ground to see what works for Caribbean food brands within this market or within this segment. So those 4 businesses is sort of an evolution over 16 years. But if you realize there's a core premise, which is food, local food adding value, and everything has to be healthy and convenient. So you can start multiple businesses. I've seen serial entrepreneurs, and sometimes we see it as negative, which is not necessarily true. It really means seeing the future of the next big business or opportunity for your passion or what you're an expert in.
But you're in the same channel period. Like you're in the same channel. You're still niche in your space. And most importantly, you're responding to needs that you're seeing in the world. You're responding to, you're listening to customers and people in the ecosystem and saying, this is a need that people have, and we are well positioned to fulfill that need. That's just great business, in my opinion, not necessarily. So having multiple businesses, I think that's
multiple revenue streams is the key to entrepreneurship, to business development, because there will always be peaks and dips and ebbs and flows in different business models. So when you have different revenue streams, it allows you to maintain, maintain that.
Survive the downs. You don't have to worry about the ups. You only have to worry about the downs. So, one of the things that I think is I have not heard you talk about is, and this does not. I'm not talking about Sean, and I'm not talking about the marketing side of the fourth business. You seem to have a knack for marketing, in a way. So you call the Market Movers. That's a very clever name. You have click and collect. Is that what?
Yeah.
What? Click and collect. Tell us a little bit your farm and function. That's an alliteration like that. Tell us a little bit about some of your thinking in terms of the intentionality that even like your idea will work for food.
Yeah.
I don't know to what extent. I don't imagine Sean was involved in all of those, but he probably is now. But tell us a little bit about your marketing approach, or your approach to like naming, and how do you come up with these ideas and concepts?
Yeah, I think with any activity, there's always boundaries or rules that it plays in. And I think Sean played an important role in the marketing, because he's been in advertising, he's been in marketing, it gave us a framework. But the innovation and the ideas of the names and making it make sense to the consumer, it's feedback from your customers. David and I are although we have staff, we have a team now, we have, a network of over 300 farmers. We have a network of over 175 SMEs. It still comes down to who is your customer, who are you serving, and with the names and the marketability is almost like the more you know who you're speaking to, the more you can come up with these ideas. So our culture at work is very, I don't even know what the word is, but it's very fun. It's very, but we play within the boundaries or the framework of the rules, right? Because we know marketing 101, there's this framework, decades and decades, centuries and centuries of, information data that works. But it's like, how do you make it your own? And I always say that, like, knowing, I remember part of your book, I'm just saying that book has caused so much energy into our company. It's crazy. But I think the reference around the playground, like knowing, the boundaries allows you to take up the entire space, as opposed to if there is no boundary, you sort of stay where it's safe, right? So that has been a really, we were already doing that in a sense, but being able to read it and again see a framework around how do businesses operate and knowing where your boundary is. And to me, your boundary is your ethos. If we say we are about local, healthy, from the time, we've been asked to do things that didn't align with, and they were huge business opportunities, but it just didn't align. So we've been asked to add sugar and water down our frozen fruits to make a puree but it just didn't align with what we were doing. And we would have been able to make lots and lots of sales. But it, again, knowing that boundary or that framework within your working, with which you're working within, is really important, because it's kind of like a safety net in a sense, because it once you cross that, it's like, okay, I'm in deep waters, or I'm not in my raft anymore. I'm not in my ship anymore,
So for listeners who don't know what Renee is talking about, is that I wrote this book, and in the book I talk about, there's a study that looks at kids who play on a playground. And if there's a fence around it, the kids play in the entire playground. You use all the space of it. When there's no fence, the kids play close to the center, almost as a way of staying safe. And the premise or the argument I was making in that piece was that when you decide the boundaries or the lines in which you will play, you use the full canvas versus playing close in the middle, which is what a lot of people end up doing, which is a great segue into my next piece that I'm interested in your business. What I love about your business is that it's an ecosystem business. You may not think about it like that, but it's first of all, it's an agribusiness that's building an ecosystem. So I love the cohesion of all of that. Tell us a little bit about, because you have a strong relationship with the farmers that you work with, and the farmers are, in many ways, you are providing a market space or a platform for them. So the better you do, the better the farmers do. Tell us a little bit about your relationship with, let's call it your providers or the farmers who supply you.
Yeah. Well, my grandfather was a sugarcane and rice farmer. So my July-August vacation was spent, in Piaco in St. Helena Village, seeing and witnessing, an agricultural lifestyle. And I think understanding, again, who your audience is, right? My brother then became a farmer, and I would see, us work so hard, and he would grow these things, and we would help him clean it up, and we would go to the market, and then someone is saying, this is worth $1 to them. And I know that it costed my brother $2 to produce. So I think that understanding that farmers are entrepreneurs too. They are businesses in their own right? And understanding that construct, again, allows us to not only, it's not only about money for them, it's about long-term supply, long-term, that they can mitigate a lot of the risks that they're exposed to. So being exposed to farmers, we know what their risks are. I will say, David, is when you say ecosystem, again, we support the entire value chain, right? The agriculture value chain from farm straight to table. So that means from the farm to agro-processing, semi-agro-process, even if it's just the same item put in a bag with a label, or if it's processed down into something and feeds into an input to the SME network and ecosystem. So David is definitely more aligned to the farm side. And I do think that there is a little, male where that energy is a bit more, I don't want to say
In sync.
yes. So like the measure is this. David and I will go to the market and he's charged one price and I'm charged a different price, right? Because again, it's that understanding or that trust between who's growing and who's planting. So there are a lot of male farmers, but over the years, we now have, and what I found is that our women farmers are actually, doing more sustainability. They're doing more pesticide free. They're doing, they're innovating ways. So not that the guys aren't doing that too, but again, I think the connection for David, aligns with that. My brother is also part of the company now, and he knows every farmer in Trinidad and Tobago. So that part of it. But for me, I've found entrepreneurship and SME development has become this secret passion of mine. I'm now a director on youth business of Trinidad and Tobago. And this was one of the first agencies we went for a loan from, right? So we went to ask when we first started for a startup loan at youth business. And now I'm a director on that board. And I think being able to help other SMEs, other food SMEs specifically for myself, my connection to that ecosystem is really interesting because if you launch a product, you need to know that your supply chain is stable, that you can't scale and you can't say you want to grow if you don't know where your supply is coming from, right? So if you're doing a ginger passion fruit juice, you need to be able to know, connect that. And I think that's what David and I do, where he's connecting the farmers and I'm connecting the SMEs. So the supply and demand, basically, right? So understanding that ecosystem, and I like that you say ecosystem because we now say that, we now speak it in our communication, join our ecosystem, because it's meant to create support along the entire value chain, right? So if a farmer comes to us and say, I want to grow kale, we know, okay, based on the market demand, this is a viable product to start growing, and we connect with buyers, we connect with agro-processors who might need, and that sort of naturally happened because if we couldn't take all what the farmer was growing, we had to find other access or other markets for them. And now we're a little more assertive where for farmer function, for instance, we have projections of how much pawpaw or pineapple, and we now have contracts with our farmers where we get a standard price all year, but we commit to taking the full volume of what they're growing. So these are models that we're trying to put into place. It works in some instances, of course. Knowing what farmers' risks are, environmental risks, perennial larceny, all these things are what we're working around to solve in the group of companies.
So one of the things, again, I want to double click on this because I think this is important in the Caribbean context of farming. This is probably not a Caribbean context, but farming is not necessarily looked at as a prestigious job or a job that people go after. But yet, if I go and want to eat a vegetable or fruit, it's a farmer I have to thank for that.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit more about the importance of the role farmers play in upholding our society, everything we do, our businesses, economy. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. I mean, everything starts with food, right? You can be the top lawyer, you can be the top doctor, but you need food, right? We need it. And we say it all the time. And I think because food has just become so accessible and it's like fast, right? So once it's available and it feeds us, so it may not necessarily nourish us fully, but the availability of food has grown significantly, right? And that, I think the gap here now is understanding the source. But
Right.
if you look at the way things are now, especially us going into the export market in a global context, the first thing they ask you is, where are you sourcing your ingredients? Where are you sourcing your inputs? And this is where now, training our farmers, allowing them to become, with food safety handling and compliance and all these things, it allows them to track, manage, and produce the best possible output, right? I think the gap here is that with farmers, it's not, I think they're respected, but it's not like they wear a uniform per se, or you'll be surprised. Like, we have young farmers, we have third generation farmers, we have a wide variety, as I said. And I think through programs like the YAP program or the ministries, we hired 5 interns last year from that program, and you're seeing this thrust where young people are actually going back to the farm and are actually interested in growing products that can add value, that can create products, the future products of the Caribbean. And I think the perception of farmers is, it's not this one thing anymore. It's not the guy with the straw hat. It's anyone can be a farmer. And even with the pandemic, people started their backyard farms, and going back to the source that's it. It's what is necessary. I'm an avid soup smoothie drinker, but I know, needless to say, but it's not only, I think it's about food that makes you feel good. It may not necessarily be the most perfectly healthy in every instance, but it's also knowing, okay, I've seen, deep fried pilau balls, or I've seen, innovations, especially through Moving Table. And I think that chefs play an important role in telling us, connecting with the farmer and bridging that gap, because chefs tend to be the gatekeepers of what we eat, right? They are the ones cooking food. And if there's that disconnect between our, food service industry and our hospitality industry, I think, having my dream is to have like a line with chefs and farmers, and create that connection, because our Moving Table, we challenge our chefs to use 95% local inputs. We had a German chef featured, and she wanted to make sauerkraut with purple cabbage, but we didn't have local purple cabbage at the time. And she dyed green cabbage with sorrel, to get the color she wanted. And then it infused this local flavor that we wouldn't really think of. So I think bridging between those who cook our food and those who grow our food, I think that's where the real gap is. Because the general public, if you see an article about farmers being supported, you see the response, great, let's support our farmers. We're interested in it, right? But I think the connection, the gap is really between those who cook the food and those who grow the food.
So I think there's a conversation we could have. I'm just going to make a note. I want to talk about the diversity of our food and how we get influenced by, let's call it, North American palates, and we cook these foods that are not really indigenous. Well, even that word is tricky in the Caribbean context, but that are local to the Caribbean.
Yeah.
So I think there's a whole conversation for us to have about that. Like, how do we feed that economy? How do we support that economy? But before I do that, I want to get some success stories within your ecosystem of farm. So what I like about your business is that, and it's one of the harder businesses to build. So you're a platform business in many ways. So for listeners who don't know what a platform business is, that means you have customers on two sides of the coin. So Uber is a classic example of a platform business. So you have people who want to ride and and drivers. So the drivers are Uber's clients and the passengers are Uber's clients, and Uber is the platform. For a platform system to work, you have to have enough customers and enough drivers, and that's a hard thing to do. So you have the same thing. You have to have enough farmers and you have to have enough demand to help those farmers, and you're a platform business in there. I am more interested in the farmer side. So what I'm curious about is what are some successes that you have, or you can point to that like this relationship with this particular person has really flourished and we're growing together. So another business example of that is the farmers who were supporting McDonald's, not a great example, what we talk about here. But as they sold their potatoes, their companies grew. So they grew in tandem with McDonald's because they had that relationship. That I see a similar potential here with your farmers, and you must have like 2 or 3 success stories you could share with us.
I think when you talk about that model, the advantage we have is that one farmer can nourish many people, right?
Yeah.
Or feed many people, whereas with Uber, it's one driver to one customer ratio. So that helps us a lot with balancing our supply and demand. I think with success stories, I mean, they're basic success stories. Like when we early on, like one of our farmers got air conditioning in his house, right? And his kids was just like, we have AC, and these are simple things that we take for granted. Another farmer has sent his 3 kids to university. They didn't have to necessarily, and yes, they're still in agriculture and they do that, but now they can study things that can help the farm grow, that can help them become specialized or experts. So we see this all the time where farmers are now able to invest in their future generation through education systems. So those are some of the success. I think one of our biggest success for me is really seeing the young farmers find markets. So like, for instance, there's an example of local baby spinach. And this is one gap I think exists where healthcare providers also need to say the local alternative, right? So a lot of our customers come to us and say, the doctor said I have diabetes or I'm pre-diabetic or I have XY and I need broccoli. I need,
but that's what I mean by the local thing. Like these doctors get educated and the pamphlets are getting a North American based.
Exactly.
And we don't have the translation piece. And that's exactly what I'll give you.
So I think this is where nutritionists and, they play an important role. And there are a lot of local nutritionists now where you see they're finding local alternatives like breadfruit, for instance, they with carbohydrates and things that can, eat in provision for diabetics as opposed to bread and these things, right? Or flour or wheat-based products. So
do you know the nutritional comparison of some examples? So for example, I've heard you talk about grapes versus guava in the past. Like do you have examples of that show how some of the local foods actually have more punch, more value per pound than
I mean, anything grown locally, nutritionally, is better for you because from the moment you harvest something, a fruit or a vegetable, it starts losing its nutritional integrity. Apples are sometimes harvested a year before it even reaches. It's stored in chilled. Yeah, it could be up to a year, depending. Once you keep an apple chilled, it can last very long, right? And
it's probably why it's so popular around the world because
it's access. So I always say this thing about guava has 400% more vitamin C than blueberries. So that's a simple translation, right? And which is why we have guava as one of our offerings because every time we have a smoothie, it's made with a berry, right? And when you look at and I always say this is a measure, right? A guava tree takes years to grow, mango, pineapple, all these fruits, pawpaw, close to a year, they take much longer to grow, which means their roots go deeper into the soil. A berry is like very, quick turnaround. It's a shrub. Not saying that there aren't nutritional benefits, but it's from the time it's harvested, it starts losing that nutritional integrity. And if it has to be shipped halfway across the world to us, we know what maintaining its preservation is one thing, but the nutritional integrity degrades from the moment of harvesting. So if you eat something that's locally grown, more than likely it was harvested like our frozen fruits. It's processed sometimes a week before it hits the shelf. So the nutritional integrity is retained much longer. And an example is a young farmer that now does baby spinach, right? We import baby spinach, right? Those little greens, and we were told, spinach is great. He's now growing the local variety like poi bhaji and these things, which is a softer spinach leaf, but it can be eaten in salads and ready to go. So the nutritional integrity is always going to be higher because that would be harvested, sometimes a day or sometimes the day of our customer will receive something that was harvested the morning of. So eating local alone, whether or not we compare gram for gram, eating food that was harvested the closest to harvest time is really nutritionally beneficial. It doesn't matter. So kale, for instance, was a great success story. A lot of our customers are the diaspora, they're international. They were asking for kale, and we asked a couple of farmers, this was maybe like 5-6 years ago, if they would grow kale. And now you cannot really find imported kale anymore. It's all more or less locally grown, right? And in nutritional, 1 leaf of kale or a few grams of kale is actually the equivalent of eating a whole head of lettuce nutritionally. So you see where you can get more return on investments, I guess. Of course, a kale costs a little more than a lettuce, but nutritionally, it has way more vitamins than a typical lettuce. So these are instances where we see the local production increase. And again, you're going to get more value out of growing kale as opposed to just regular lettuce. Not saying we don't need lettuce, but these are instances where we see farmers succeeding in different contexts by growing, zucchini. Like whoever invented zoodles just like changed the game, right? So all of a sudden our customers or the doctors were saying, oh, you need to eat zucchini because again, they're getting their information from international standards. So now our farmers are growing local zucchini, local pumpkin, like squash, butternut squash. These are things that you see have grown significantly in the local markets and offering. Arugula, microgreens, and with Market Movers Design, we do packaging and branding for all these types of products. So there's just this understanding of eating local is just beneficial all around. And more importantly, I think there is a stigma with local farmers where we think it's not safely grown. And what I will say is that definitely our supply, we work with farmers who are way more sustainable, can, use biological inputs. They care about the environment and they see better outcomes and results from choosing to go that route, right? Because with those chemicals and stuff, the fluctuations, these are all the input costs that farmers face, and the prices are only going up and up, right? So sustainable farming, sustainable practices, while it takes more time to cultivate and develop, once you do, it actually is way more affordable and better for the farmer in terms of output, is better for the consumers because they're eating safe foods. And I think we have to also erase that stigma that farmers, local farmers, they do care. They do care about what they're growing. Now they're using more biological inputs. They're trying to use sustainable methods. And I think a lot of it is support and education that has come from just international organizations, locally as well, where we're really trying to educate and empower the farmers to grow in a sustainable way.
So we are running out of time. I just checked the thing, and I have a ton of questions for you still. So I'm very interested in this, the value of local diversity, both economically and health benefits. Tell us a little bit more about why that diversity is important. And again, I'm going to double click on this platform business that you have where you're supporting many farmers are supporting you. It builds resilience in the system, etc. Let's talk a little bit about the importance of that diversity.
Yeah, I think diversity comes with us because we have so many seasonalities of different fruits, and we can excite the customer each month. Piwa in season, or we now sell more sapodillas than we do apples on our platform.
Amazing.
Because our customers are like, when last I had a sapodilla, or we would just let it fall to the ground, right, and waste. So we are constantly using the seasonalities, which is what helps with our diversity. And similarly, strawberries don't grow all year, although we have it available all year. Sometimes we get it from North America, sometimes depending on seasons, right? But availability all year is where food preservation, healthy, and this is where farm and function comes in, where we blast freeze when guava is in season, so that you can now have guava all year and you can have access to these high nutrient foods all year. But diversity is really important because it allows us to have access to different types of nutrition. And I believe that also that when things are in season is because we need it, right? So right before dry season is usually avocado season. This is good fats, right? So you feed in all the good fats because come dry season, we don't have access to as many fruits and vegetables as we would, right? So what it does is it's kind of like hibernation, right? A bear would eat a ton of things right before it hibernates. Similarly, that there are certain foods that grow at certain times because that's when we need it most, right? It's when we're most exposed to the sun, or it's when we, less water, less access to water. So watermelons tend to be sweeter during the dry season, and it allows us to intake more water naturally in different ways, right? So I mean, we have to trust nature, obviously. I think it knows what it's doing, but definitely diversity and the complexity of what we are offered here in the Caribbean, we need to take full advantage of.
Yeah, I love it. You mentioned the term deep roots. Are you familiar with the term slow movement or slow money or slow business?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Would you consider yourself, so for listeners who may not know what slow money or slow movement is, it's an investment in sustainable approaches to growing food and building businesses. They take longer to grow, but they're more sustainable and in sync with the environment and business.
Yeah.
Would you consider yourself part of that slow movement, slow business approach? And
for sure, like all along.
But what keeps you from not going into that big money, fast money kind of approach? What keeps you from jumping into that lane?
Well, I mean, one, as an entrepreneur, I'm really not guided by money. I think value comes in many forms. I always remember during the pandemic when people didn't have access to food, like I knew every farmer in the country more or less, like we had access to food, and that became value, right? It didn't matter how much money you had in the bank account. It was if you only could eat what was available at the grocery store, and the grocery store was limited to what, that affects it. So I think investing, when I say deeper roots, it means it goes deeper into the soil and it accesses different types of nutrients, which is why you find long-term fruits and vegetables tend to have a higher nutritional composition in a lot of instances. So definitely fast is good because we are convenient and we want to get it to the customer fast, but we also educate the customer on what it took to get this to your door. And we highlight that we educating your customers. They're not going to come ready-made. Trust me, there is no such thing as the perfect guy or the perfect customer. It's really about molding or educating or exposing them to more, right? And I think how we've been able to do that is we've expanded our portfolio constantly. We are constantly thinking about how can we expand to get the customers that matter, to spend more, to buy more, to invest in more areas, and with the diversity, this lens. So it's not that we can't handle 500,000 customers tomorrow. What we want is that the 10,000 that we do have becomes more and more educated, more and more in tune with the value of what we're doing, so that anything we add to the website, they're intrigued, they're interested in, so definitely it's not always about more and faster. It's about how do we expand and grow what we already have, right? So what else can you offer your customer? What else can you intrigue them with, or educate them on, or excite them with? And we had an approach around maybe like 3 years ago, I would say, corporate wellness. Let's see. We didn't think online, because of accessibility, there are veg marts everywhere. The groceries are becoming more and more competitive with pricing and things like that. We realized, okay, corporate strategy would work, because these corporate buildings have 500 staff, 600 staff. And if we get the corporate side, and that's a new customer, to invest in the wellness of their staff, and we've invested in this for like 3 years. We've been telling them, you know, your productivity of your team, your wellness of your team is so important. And now it's like, you know, we get access to hundreds and thousands of customers through one customer channel.
Right.
So these are ways that you can innovate, definitely, to get access to new markets. But it's a little slower for us because we now educate the leaders, you know, the decision makers in the company. And in turn, that relates to the rest of the team and the staff.
There's an amazing story that I forget his name now, but he wrote a book called The Anxious Generation. And one of the stories he talks about is that they were growing plants and stuff to take to the moon, and in our world's obsession to go to the moon, and it grew them in a greenhouse. And because it didn't have any wind, what happens is the wind is what causes the roots to grip on and to hold on. So eventually plants that grow in a greenhouse with no wind eventually fall over from their own weight because they can't withstand the wind, and they've never learned to hold on to their roots. So this metaphor of being able to hold on to the roots and like us being able to sustain wind. And the point that the author was making was about how you raise kids, is that you can't raise kids in a greenhouse. They need to have wind in order to be able to have strong roots.
Tough times.
Sorry?
You need to be resilient. And
yeah, you make a kid go through tough things. Yeah, for sure. Where I was heading with that was that, in my observation, the long-standing companies, the companies that really make a difference and a mark on the world, are the ones that change culture. And if you think about any big name like Nike, Apple, you name any big company, they've changed culture in some way. And as we close off, one of the things that y'all are doing is changing culture around food, how we think about buying food, changing the supply chain, you're changing culture, helping people with diabetes, making that easier for them. It's as simple as that. And it might be a slow business model, but it's probably a more sustainable business model in the long run for everybody in all kinds of ways. So what is next for the market movers, and where do you see yourself? First of all, it's been what, 14, 15 years?
16 years.
16 years?
It's going to be
16 years.
Next year. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
what do you see yourself in the next 10 years?
hopefully alive. But
if you're eating your own food, you'll be fine.
yeah. I would say, I mean, our dream is to create a hub, per se, that really does connect the farmer to the producers, because as I say, I think that's the biggest gap, that we have people producing products or services that doesn't necessarily consider the supply or the farm side or the local or sustainable side. And I think bridging that gap and creating a hub where we can now support both Caribbean farmers, SMEs, and in turn, the general population and consumers to just connect deeper with the food that they eat. You see it all the time, people at a restaurant, and they're almost like in a like zone, and you're hungry and you're being driven by that, but the hunger needs to go a little deeper, if that makes sense. And I think we know the foods that make us feel good, we know the things that don't make us feel good, and I think it's just time to start eating and doing things that make us actually feel good, and for a longer period, not just in that moment of satisfaction. But I have customers say, they drink a smoothie and they were like, they don't even know where this energy came from, right? You see it's on shows, and Seinfeld had where he ate a mango and he was like, this is a B12 shot, but we're going to the pharmacy and buying a shot, and sometimes you could just suck a mango. Like, I swear, you feel
you cannot be happy after sucking a nice good mango. There's no way.
That's one of my earliest food stories. You know, and I'm sure everyone in the Caribbean can relate to that. And it's us remembering those moments that brought us real joy and pleasure around feeling good and knowing that the choices we make, you know, matter. So for Farm and Function, we have composted over 40,000 pounds of organic waste that is fed back to the farmers. And that came from another entrepreneur offering that service. So think about solutions, I think, around food. It doesn't always have to be, you know, the farm side or the selling side, but there are solutions all around food. And the more we can innovate in the space, I think it's going to matter to the future. So 10 years from now, I want to see the entire Caribbean.
Nice. Love it.
25% more local for sure.
Awesome. So I want to thank you for being on today. It's been a great conversation. If I wanted to become a customer of yours, how can that happen? Just share with us quickly.
So you can visit dmarketmovers.com or you can call us at 221-3555. And
you should repeat that number.
221-3555 or visit dmarketmovers.com, and you can find Farm and Function in the frozen section of every major retailer, and it's the only locally grown frozen fruit product on the market that you're supporting.
So support local in music, in food, and everything you do. Thank you, everybody. And by the way, I love how you dropped in some dating advice where not even guys are going to be perfect. Your food's not perfect. So you got everything today in this conversation. We got dating advice, we got business advice, we got health advice. Awesome. Thank you for being a guest. And I will see you next time. And I think Denise is back next week. Hope you all enjoy today's conversation. And
bye, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you. Talk soon and bye.
Bye.